First time doing every DRUG, but firstly, let's explain all these substances first so you can have better context. Substance addiction is a very scary thing. Well, it depends. A dude who's addicted to ashwagandha ain't gonna be on the same level of desperation as a motherfucking crackhead, but nevertheless, both them dudes still addicted. Only difference is one is willing to lie, rob, manipulate, and destroy all his relationships just to get one more smack of that sweet, sweet crack. Anyway, since this seems to be a trendy topic right now, we are going to be ranking every substance from S to F based on many factors like addictiveness, how hard it is to quit, how much it affects your life negatively, etc. With F being the hardest to quit and most harmful for you, and S being just a mild addiction. And all of this will of course be presented to you in a family-friendly, comedic, entertaining, and scientific way. So YouTube, please, I'm just a funny stick man. So let's start it off with what your boy might be addicted to just a teeny tiny bit, and that's of course weed. Some people might say you can't get addicted to weed, and to those I say, bro, you dumb as shit. Okay, not to be mean, but that statement is just false, because as humans, we can get addicted to anything and everything. Even shit like a cool breeze on a hot summer's day could get you addicted, because that shit feels nice, bruh. What I'm trying to say is that even though getting physically addicted to the Zaza is quite hard, getting mentally addicted is easier than watching a 10-minute YouTube video. Well, if you're Gen Alpha, this doesn't apply to you with your skibbity toilets and stuff, but you get what I mean. It's all about habit and relieving stress, and even if you smoke up once a day at the end of your day when you got all your shit done and it's time to relax, you still mentally addicted by equating relaxation with smoking the Lord's loud. But overall, if I'm being a $125.5 with you, this isn't too bad, because when you're at this level, you won't start tweaking if you don't have any weed. You just prefer it if you did. But if you do smoke up 24/7, it's a bit different, because your body will start relying on the za to get you through your day. Although honestly, it's kind of hard to get to that point, because if you're anything like me, after a day or two of smoking weed and doing nothing productive, your mind will tell you, oh boy, time to get faded and play V-Rising all day again. Bro, what the fuck is you doing? You really finna wake and bake again? You're broke, and you look like a damn bum. Man, I swear, you wake and bake today too, and I'ma start giving you mad anxiety, bruh. Oh, okay, fine. I'll be a functioning human today. Total busk. So all in all, weed gets a B rating because of its mostly non-addictive nature and relative ease in which it is to quit for most people. Very much unlike fentanyl. Not much to say here. Smoke once, you dead, bro. Don't have to worry about quitting, cause, well, you're dead. Oh, but if you do survive, your brain has now been chemically altered forever, so now all you want is the stuff. So if not instantly, you're dead in a week or two tops. Although I think some people have managed to quit, they'll probably just never be the same again. So complete F tier. Nah, actually fucking Z tier. Don't even think about it, bro. Crack. Now, before I researched into fentanyl, I thought this was like the pinnacle of addiction. I guess not, cause I saw this clip of some dude talking about how veteran crackheads who have been alive for decades and still smoking that shit be dead instantly after taking a sniff of fentanyl. But even so, crack is F tier, cause just like fentanyl, it alters the chemistry of your brain, and now the pursuit of happiness turns into the pursuit of crack. Again, don't even think about it, bruh. Now let's tune back from the hardcore stuff in hopes that this video still staying monetized, which seems more like a fantasy right now, but anyway. Caffeine, the wonder drug, a widely accepted and extensively researched substance that works by stimulating your body and increasing the activity in your brain and nervous system. Just drink too much of it and it'll have the exact opposite effect, leaving you super anxious and unable to work properly. Also, it is somewhat addictive, although quite controllable, but if you do drink the same amount of coffee or shotgun a Red Bull every day, pretty soon you'll discover that the Red Bull isn't really getting you going anymore. So now you need another, so you either get another, or you realize that this is a slippery slope and not drink that Red Bull for a day or two and your tolerance goes back to normal. I found the best way to manage your caffeine addiction is to only consume it when you feel like you're gonna need it for the day. What I mean by that is if you, let's say, work from Monday to Friday, then drink a coffee or two those days, but refrain from consuming caffeine on the weekends. That should give your mind and body enough time to reset your dependency without it even being that hard. There's also a bunch of research showing that 1 or 2 cups of coffee are actually good for you and can lower the likelihood of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, liver and endometrial cancers, Parkinson's disease, and depression. So yeah, bro, I mean, with the other shit on this list, I think it would be silly for me caffeine not to throw it at S tier. But do keep in mind, moderation is always key to what you consume, how you plan your time, how you live your life, everything, bruh. But coffee, S tier, moving. Nicotine. Nicotine is like caffeine's evil brother, because just like caffeine, nicotine can increase your focus and help you get through your day. Only problem is, unlike caffeine, which I'd say for most people can be a controlled addiction, vaping usually isn't. In fact, a big portion of people who consume this stuff do it to the point of it having the exact opposite effect, making you dizzy and less energized. And just like caffeine, you build up a tolerance pretty fast, making your sin bombs less bomby with each stuffing. The worst part of Nick, though, is always gonna be the fact that most dudes are inhaling aerosol in their lungs to get it in their system, which from that you will experience gross side effects pretty fast, like phlegm in your throat 24/7, loss of lung capacity, and pretty soon anxiety when you can't suck on your vape for a prolonged period of time. But the actual worst part about vaping is that it's fucking lame as shit. And even though in high school it might have made you cool, in the real world being addicted to flavored cancer-infused mists really shows a lot about your character.
Character? What does that even mean?
It means that if you're like really addicted to the point of vaping every day all the time with no plans on quitting, it indicates that you're a mentally weak person, because at that point you sound like a ghoul from Fallout, run out of breath from walking up a flight of stairs, and you're constantly spitting shit from your mouth, aka you've turned into a gremlin, aka you're gonna be treated like a gremlin by people who aren't gremlins. If this is only something I've noticed, then so be it, but if I'm gonna keep it a $1.50 with you, every single person I know who is heavily addicted to nicotine is not a very productive / successful person. But hey, that might just be me and my personal experience. So make sure to comment down below if you've noticed something similar or I'm just talking out my ass. We're gonna throw nicotine at E tier just cause, well, crack is on F tier and, well, it's not that bad. Now though, moving on to a more psychedelic world. Mushrooms. I'm not talking about culinary mushrooms or even the ones Mario uses to grow bigger. I'm talking about the mushroom Luigi collects and saves at the beginning levels for when after the game is over to get on Rainbow Road, if you know what I'm saying. Psychedelics overall are not super addictive though, cause if you've ever been on a trip from these things, you know that shit is exhausting as shit. I mean, for real, after my heroic journey, I felt like my brain had gone through a month's worth of thoughts in one 5-hour session, leaving me completely mentally drained. But that doesn't mean mushrooms aren't addictive at all, because although not physically addictive, just like weed, mushrooms can be mentally addictive, cause when you're tripping, you feel like you're in this secret dimension of being, which gives you a sense of belonging and makes you feel special. And that feeling can be addictive, especially if you're not very happy with your current situation in your normal life. They can be used as an escape, kinda like Alice in Wonderland, but unlike more natural escapes like TV shows, video games, and movies, mushrooms leave your brain drained and confused. That's also the reason why if you go to a smart shop in Amsterdam, they always tell you to take at least a 4 to 5 day break in between mushroom trips. Firstly, because of the aforementioned mentally draining effect they have, but also because your body builds up a tolerance extremely fast to psilocybin, the chemical found in magic mushrooms. And if you bang multiple trips in a row, the effect will be much lighter, but also because of that, it'll feel less draining and therefore make it possible to take this stuff daily. And if you do, you can get a bit disassociated from your normal existence and therefore build up a bit of an addiction to mushroom land. All that being said, magic mushrooms are one of the only substances on this list that have been proven to have therapeutic uses, like for example fighting your other addictions. I know from my personal experience when I banked a heroic dose, it made me think a lot about how much I consume things like weed and nicotine, and from that I was able to cut both those things down a bit, especially the nicotine. I also know of people microdosing this stuff and having positive effects, but me personally, I don't really believe that, because if you're taking them every day, you'll eventually start relying on them, and that kind of defeats the whole point of tripping once and carrying what you learn into your normal life, I think. Anyway, all in all, mushrooms gotta be B tier, because when you do get addicted to them, it can drastically mess up your life. It's just kinda hard to get to that point. The first high, a core memory, and whether you enjoyed it or not, doesn't really matter, because for 95% of people, their first time literally shapes their entire opinion on the grass. Almost everybody who isn't age 50 or over and says, "Weed is the work of the devil, and should be more illegal than even meth." Well, actually it is. The Za is Schedule 1 and meth is Schedule 2, so... Yeah, that's right. That's why I love America. Greatest damn country in the world.
USA! USA! USA!
Anyway, what I was saying was that most people who tweak their first time are put off by it for a while and shape into za haters, and people who have fun their first time, believe it or not, don't all become mindless junkies who eat Little Caesars and watch SpongeBob all day. Rather, when asked their opinion on weed, they'll probably just say,
My stomach turned into an endless void with an unquenchable hunger for anything edible, which was followed by a sleepiness so uncontrollable I passed out halfway into my 25th Twinkie. It was pretty fun.
So obviously me, CBD bro, who runs an entire YouTube channel dedicated to the green plant, must have had the latter experience, right? Well, not really. As you see, when I was but a wee lad, uncontaminated by the forbidden fruits of the world like alcohol, nicotine, and yes, weed, always believed that alcohol makes you homeless, nicotine makes you a little bitch, and weed makes you lazy. Thinking that, I didn't want to waste not just my first high, but my very first time feeling anything besides normal on eating Doritos and watching Family Guy. Which, after turning 17, I decided it was about time I lost my substance virginity and planned to do so on Christmas dinner, where I was gonna let El Marijuana put its big, fat, thick, juicy, delicately rolled J in my mouth, but only after I had eaten, as I believed if my tummy was full, I wouldn't get the munchies and could instead contemplate the meaning of life my time high. And thankfully, I had an older brother who was more than willing to give me a puff or two from his Christmas dinner J for $4, the fucking cheapskate. So we went upstairs and started puffing, which Rezex was instantly bamboozled from the magic grass. Nice, it's not a dud. Now it's my turn. I grabbed the J and puffed until I could puff no more. And the result was, I didn't feel a damn thing. Still had to pay the $4 though. Fucking bullshit. Anyway, as we went through the day, I got increasingly more jealous of my brother, who by his words was fried AF. I was beginning to think maybe I'm immune to getting high, which after telling my brother this theory, he concluded that I'm stupid and just didn't inhale the za in my lungs, and so generously told me to follow him upstairs where he gave me a couple more puffs. For an extra $4, the damn venture capitalist. As I was smoking away, keeping in mind to inhale it all the way down to my lungs, I still wasn't feeling anything, and my hopes of getting fried AF were beginning to look more like a distant dream. When I finished puffing, I sat down at the computer to look at some of those watch while high videos, and my brother asked me, So, you feel anything now? No, I don't. What's this weird I'm not sure. I don't know, seems to me you're fried like some Kentucky chicken, boy. I was indeed fried, and incredibly so. Although I didn't smoke a ton, my body had never experienced anything besides a sugar rush and maybe a caffeine kick. So as I was watching this watch while you're high video, I was laughing at everything and was tripping the out. But not in a bad way, it was freaking amazing. Being high was what I always imagined it to be until... bloop. I'm sober again. Yeah, you heard right. My first high lasted like 30 seconds, and in an instant, I was back to normal, which I don't know why. Even to this day, when I tell people about this, nobody can relate because no one has experienced this phenomenon. But since I'm a scientist, I have developed a super duper concrete theory backed by quantum mechanics and the late great Stephen Hawking on my experience, and overall the reason why a lot of people who smoke their first time don't feel anything. I theorize that all humans have a natural block against foreign substances, a wall per se, and when an individual inhales za, the particles act kind of like micromissiles targeting your cannabinoid receptors. For the people whose defensive wall is strong enough, it will stop all perpetrators attempting to infiltrate your brain. But this wall isn't regeneratable, so if the micromissiles fail to get you fried at first, the next time they'll have an easier time against your already damaged wall of defense. Now, I bet you're thinking to yourself, this mofo been smoking too much of that Einstein pack. And to you, I say maybe, but also I have practical proof of this theory. I used to be a pro baller, and one day me and a couple hooper friends who all have great immune systems and therefore probably good za defensive walls decided to smoke up, and to my buddies, it was their first time. Once we lit the J and passed it around, I made sure to tell everybody to inhale the smoke in their lungs, which I'm pretty sure they all did, but still, I was the only one who got high, cause it wasn't my first time. But when I smoked up with some of my non-athlete first-timer friends, they all got high like normal. So, conclusion, defensive saw wall is a real thing and I stand by my theory. Anyway, although that was my first time feeling high, I wouldn't call it my first high because it only lasted for half a minute. My first real high experience was something even more memorable and etched to my brain until I die. A couple weeks after the last incident, me and Riz X decided it was about damn time I actually felt the true loving touch of the Mary Jane. And this time, instead of having only scraps of za, we bought a whole gram to hopefully destroy my highly speculative za wall. I think it's real. Also, at this time, we were obsessed with freestyle rapping, so we decided the plan of action was to smoke up, eat candy, and rap battle to copyright-free beats while recording it so we could listen to our unreleased tracks in the morning. Since our parents were away for the night, we got the whole apartment to ourselves and planned on rolling 2 J's, both containing 0.5 G. Since we were petrified at the thought of getting caught blazing, instead of being sensible and smoking the J's near a window and just blowing the smoke out, we put our jackets on and walked 500 feet away from the apartment to light up, just to be sure that there wouldn't even be a microfiber of evidence that we were smoking the devil's lettuce. As we were consuming the J, all I could hope for was that this time I wouldn't just get a limited free trial, but the actual full version. But alas, when we finished puffing the J, I again felt nothing, or at least that's what I thought, cause as we arrived back home, I finally realized that, so you feeling it?
Yeah, kinda.
Sometimes the high hits you a couple minutes later, especially if you're going from outdoors to indoors as we did. And my highly accepted theory in the science community about this phenomenon is that through evolution, we have always considered indoors to be our safe zone and outdoors dangerous. Therefore, when you're outside, your brain doesn't allow the full faded and relaxed effect to take over, probably in anticipation of a roadman coming and chefing you up with the mandem. Okay, this one I'm not so confident in, and I have to come clean. I am in no shape or form associated with the science community. Yet. Anyway, now that we were high and in the living room, we started putting on some beats and freestyling, and to this day, I have yet to replicate the skill and precision of my flow that high. It's hard to explain, but nowadays, I can't rap for shit. I mean, I'll spit one line and be like, yo, I've been getting money making racks, cause you know I'm flipping packs. That's facts. Yeah, that's it. Basically, I run out of rhymes pretty fast, but that day, I did not. In fact, even when my brain had nothing to say, my mouth rapped it for me. I turned into a freestyling robot and became dead sure that I was gonna make it out by dropping a mixtape and becoming a famous rapper. Until we listened to the recording in the morning and realized, yo, flowing on the go. Your girl, she a hoe, making money dancing with a pole. My girl making dough while doing lines of blow. Cause we in the penthouse, baby, living life, and that's for show.
Yeah, I'll try YouTube instead.
What's crazy though is that after that, I was never able to replicate the auto-rapping again, so my rap career never flowered, but who knows, maybe I'll try to convert this channel into lyric videos and shitposting, all while steadily alienating my audience and killing my channel. Or maybe I should just make a separate channel for that?
You know, back in the day, if you wanted to get high discreetly, sorry bro, but there was no way. I mean, you got the J, which stanks up everything. You got the bong, which although doesn't stank as much, where are you gonna hide it? Imagine trying to sneak by your parents on some...
What you doing dropping shit at a time like this, boy?
Downstairs, I came for, I came down, I wanted a glass of water, yeah.
Boy, you must be neurologically disabled if you think that'll excuse you from breaking some dusty-ass dollar store piece and spilling bong water all over my goddamn living room.
No, it's...
Here, take a smack of this shit. It'll get you proper, boy.
Well, that sounds like a pretty fun... Anyway, point is, you're not gonna be hiding that shit for long. Only real option you had was the pipe. But bro, at that point, you sacrificing everything you got for one high. Like, I swear, the pipe is the last way anybody in their right mind wants to get faded. Every time I hit it, it's like my lungs and throat revert back to factory settings. Like I ain't never inhaled anything besides O2 before. Basically, by smacking the pipe, you're hurting your lungs and throat to the point it kind of fucks up the first 30 minutes of your high. And that's exactly why when the first Benjamin was invented by the scientists at Yodiland, It changed the game, bruh. Never before could you get obliterated on the go regardless of where you were or what you were doing. And thanks to that, getting high has become so damn easy, you got motherfuckers making obliteration their normal state. Never before could someone do anything even remotely sus, and you could just assume they were fucking high. My man had sunglasses on for no reason, faded. Dude was staring somewhere for a bit too long, obliterated. Dude went to White Castle for a culinary experience. Well, that motherfucker's just weird. Goddamn cafeteria food. And you can forget about gas stations and fast food places. I mean, at this point, it's like damn near mandatory to be blasted on the job. And I got nothing against that, just since 90% of the time I find myself at 7-Eleven, I'm fried too, and the motherfucker that's supposed to be helping me is trying to scan my items with his damn iPhone. Nah, but for real, the pace that these fried motherfuckers work at is fine when your brain is running at the same low frequency, but if you're in a rush, it'll take damn near every ounce of mental strength you got to stop yourself from forcing a damn self-checkout.
Would you like a bag with that, sir?
Fuck no, here's the money, just give me my shit. But don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old Benjamin. There really ain't a better on-the-go, fast and easy way to get faded. Unfortunately, I didn't go to college and kinda cheated my way through high school too, so the 15 or so brain cells I was able to develop that keep me from losing and forgetting shit turned into, well, basically zero. And for that reason, I've already lost 2 of them. One of them slipped out my pocket while I was at the movies, and I'm pretty sure some teenagers stole it, cause after the film, when I was looking for it with my flashlight and shit, these motherfuckers were giggling in the back, looking at me like I was a damn circus clown. Coupled with the fact I was fried as fuck, I was fighting my tears. Dog. I just got robbed by some damn teens and I can't even do shit cause it was illegal to even bring it in there. Second one I lost in a very similar manner. As I was getting out my Uber going back home, my sweatpants did me dirty and flinged that fucker out as I was standing up. Took me 2 minutes to realize, and when I did, my Uber driver was probably already hitting that shit cause when I called him back to ask for it, he said,
Let me check. It seems that you only left me a $1 tip. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
And that one hurt the most because that was the first pen I ever had and the one I used for my first Benjamin adventure, which my first time was, well, by far the highest I have ever been in my life. I'm talking freaky, I'm talking third person. Shit, it was the first time in years I truly greened the thaw out. For you see, normal weed or bud is just that, normal. So the strength of it is confined in the realms of reality, unless you know it, it's moon rock. Anyway, the biggest difference between smacking a pen versus, let's say, a J is that the pen doesn't have normal bud in it. It has concentrate, which if you're unaware like I was, is about 10 to 20 times stronger than bud. Knowing that, the best way to get faded off the pen is by just taking small rips to avoid getting sent into the goddamn shadow realm. For example, the YouTuber Damien Luck 925 is very well known for taking multiple blinkers, which is the biggest hit you can take, outside in social situations, most notably in random classrooms, like it's nothing. So me being at my USA Airbnb alone in the confines of my living room, thought to myself, okay, so it looks like the basic hit I should do at least is 1 blinker, but probably more. Yet what was waiting for me on the other side of Blinker City was something I was not prepared for. Something unholy. The voices. I'll never forget the horrible things they were whispering. They made me almost delete my YouTube channel. Anyway, it started with me ordering a 1-gram pen off of Weed Amazon, and it arrived the very next day in a beat-up Cadillac with a delivery man who, from the looks of it, tests out every product he delivers just, you know, to make sure the quality is there. Yo, bro, you're here for the weed, right? You got the cash? Yeah, I ordered through your website, though. It should be paid for already. Yeah, I forgot I take online orders now, too. Anyway, here's the stuff, bro. I trust you. Hey, thanks, bro. Have a good one. You too, man. Hello, Mr. Bro. We got a delivery for you from Weed Amazon that should be arriving in an hour or so. Will you be home then?
Wait, didn't I just...
I'm a gorilla in a fucking scoop. Gonna pull up to the zoo.
Oh, I better get out of here.
So I went back to the crib, Benjamin in hand, and prepared myself to get faded. And obviously, I went for a blinker, my very first hit. But since I had never smacked a pen before, I inhaled it for about 4 seconds and stopped because it was so light on my throat, I thought it wasn't working, but it actually was. And from that 4-second puff, I was already quite bamboozled. But since I have this weird rule of every time I get new stuff, I break it in by doing a massive hit, I thought, well, fuck. I was supposed to do a blinker. And went for it again. I inhaled and inhaled for a good 8 to 10 seconds, but the thing just wouldn't fucking blink. It got to the point where there was tears coming from my eyes and my throat was begging me to stop, and it ended up like... I had made a grave mistake. I was so fucking high, I felt my soul leave my body. I was so high, I forgot I was even high. But it was just the beginning, cause over the next 10 minutes, I just kept on getting more faded, and the demons in my head kept on getting louder and louder. But if you know me, I kinda refused to green out, so I just kept on doing random shit like reading the ingredients list off my bag of M&Ms, reading the comments on my videos.
Change that dark blue. Do things has changed career. Imagine copying another YouTuber.
Kill yourself.
Was not doing good. I was keeping a strong facade, but inside there was a war going on. I was feeling like Naruto with the Nine Tails, only instead of an all-powerful destructive force talking to me, I was just really fucking high. Anyway, so yeah, I was grading out, which hadn't happened to me in years, and I concluded that because the voice of reason was completely being outspoken by the voice of tweaking. The good news is though, the hype from the Benjamin doesn't last too long, and in about 1 to 2 hours, I had started coming down, but at that point, I was already crawled up in my bed, scrolling endlessly on my phone, until I finally reached a state where I felt good enough to come out of emergency mode and order some food and ate myself into a food coma. So I learned, well, firstly, that motherfucker Fulcrum is actually insane, or his tolerance is just something else, bro, and that the Benjamin is best enjoyed in puffs of 3 to 5 seconds and not blinkers. Moon rock, a type of weed that has been designed to bamboozle your frontal cortex and get you moving extremely irregular. Apparently so much so that Snoop Dogg himself finds them too strong and has warned against the use of these intergalactic Obi-Wan Kenobi exotic nugs. But CBD bro, you already smoked moon rock a year ago. And yes, technically I did, but as I learned to discover just a few days ago, crumbling a moon rock J into a bowl isn't even close to the real thing. But why did we buy a pre-roll instead of actual moon rock that day? Well, you see, the J was $15 and the nug itself was $50, so I was just trying to save a little bit of money, I'm sorry. Now that we have that out of the way, let me set the scene for you. I just spent 24 hours going from airport to airport, flying my way to the USA of A. So I had what you might call jet lag, or a better way to put it, a non-alcoholic hangover. And if you know me, after a hard day's work, I like to indulge in that motherfucking top shelf gas. So right after getting to my apartment, I started scheming, cooking, fiddling my thumbs on my electronic mobile device in search of some dank weed, brah. And that's when it occurred to me, I hadn't smoked up in over 2 weeks. My tolerance must be damn near 0. Yeah, I don't want to overdo it. What's that stuff I smoked in Amsterdam again though, that had me find demons? Moon rock? Nah. That'll disrupt my circadian rhythm. Wait. My circadian rhythm already is disrupted. Shit, Moonrock might just undisrupt it back to normal. So there I was, having made up my mind with absolute logic that could not be argued against. I concluded that the only thing potent enough to cure my jet lag was my dear old friend Moonrock. And remember how I said I found out a few days ago that what I smoked in Amsterdam wasn't actually Moonrock? Yeah, well, the few days I was referring to wasn't some random Google search. This shit would end up getting me so galactically obliterated, I scrambled to find out if I had smoked some lace grass, only to discover that the hole I dug myself into was no one else's fault but mine, god damn. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. After browsing the interwebs for a while, I found a place that sells Moonrock at an affordable price. So me, a carless man, decided to use the extremely sophisticated and thorough public transport system of the United States. I told you this was your last day, Johnny. I'm sorry. Just give me one more day. I'll pay it all back. I promise.
Rest in pepperoni, you damn crackhead. Holy shit. Did I just hear a dude getting shot? Thankfully, I'm safe on the
We looking for ops, young niggas standing outside, they don't give a fuck about the cops, we clutching the mops.
So after taking a bus I'm assuming was operated by the Crenshaw Crips, I arrived in the fabulous dispensary and was ready to get my dank Moonrocks.
Hello, sir. How may I help you today?
Yeah, I'd like to purchase some Moonrock.
Sure. Do you have your ID or passport?
Yes, I do. I came prepared.
Yeah, checks out. That'll be $120.
120? I said I want Moonrock, not diamond encrusted weed.
Well, that's the price. You want it or not.
Yeah, okay. After being bent over and having all my saved up rupees finessed, I held in my hand Moon Rock. Not a cheap Moon Rock J, some real sticky, icky, dank smelling nugs that looked like they really were from the moon. Unfortunately, that wasn't the end of my financial troubles because I was almost certain I had 30 minutes earlier heard a man being shot and killed near the bus stop. I didn't want to have my fade ran by the nearest gang affiliated Moon Rock smelling thugs, so using the money I was hoping to buy food with the next day, I instead got an Uber. Oh yeah. After arriving back at my apartment, I made sure that this time I would do things right. So I googled how to smoke moon rock and was instantly greeted with a mistake I had made. Or I don't know if it was a mistake, but this tutorial said to pack your bowl full of your favorite flower and then add a couple chunks of your moon rock in. Which obviously I didn't do because I only had the damn moon rock. Damn, I swear it was easier last time. This shit's sticky as fuck. Oh, well, screw it. I'll just pack it full of moon rock. What's the worst that can happen? A grave mistake. A skibbity lapse in judgment. I was not at all prepared for what was to come, even though I thought I was. And the reason for that was my false understanding of how potent this shit actually is. I had smoked Sunrock before, but did so from a J, which is not really how you're supposed to do it, making its potency noticeably lower. And the moon rock I smoked in Amsterdam was apparently just a J covered in keef that we crumbled into a BONG, and on top of that, when you consider the copious amounts of top shelf Zaza we were smoking prior, I think you might be starting to see how this is gonna go.
Here goes nothing. Holy shit. Okay, I know where this is going.
The instant the first bit of high hit me, I knew I was fucked. But CBD, bro, it's just weed. No, you don't know what you're talking about. The first wave was eerily similar to when I hit the Benjamin for the first time, doing 2 blinkers. And if you remember that video, you know I was about to go through one hell of a trip. I rushed back inside and put my bong and other gear away as fast as I could before my IQ would drop to the level of a 4-year-old. Then I proceeded to put on some random YouTube video about P. Diddy, expecting to be entertained, only to find out he's coming for you. He could be anywhere. Justin Bieber. Oh Lord, what did he do to him? Beyonce too? No, she's in the Illuminati. All the single ladies, all the single ladies, all the single ladies. Yeah, so I definitely chose the wrong subject matter to accompany my near greenouts, and I was 100% starting to tweet. So I finally decided to stop with this P. Diddy stuff, as it was not doing me any favors.
Okay, chill. I'll just put on some music.
I went in there and did it and made it, you can too. We done came a long way from broken shoes.
When you're rich like this, you don't check the forecast, every day's gonna rain. Yeah.
Wait, it can't be.
No, not you too. Drip too hard, don't stand too close. Drown out this wave. After realizing that a lot of the music I grew up with was the product of an alleged monster, I was rather sad. So I tried to instead play video games, hoping that if I focused on guiding my brightly colored Fall Guy from falling off the map due to the extensive obstacles in his way, I would be fine. Okay, Fall Guys, let's play some Fall Guys. How much a man can fall. Fallout 4.
20 minutes later.
Yeah, I remember I used to love Call of Duty. Nuketown was the shit. Wait. I was supposed to play Fall Guys, man. What is this weed? I can't do shit. I could not focus on anything, bruh. Well, I say anything, but I really mean anything positive. As if I were to let myself slip for even just a moment that day, I could feel every single cell in my body. And when I'm that freakishly high and I start focusing on that little ache I have in my back or the speed of my heart rate, it takes me to Tweak Town real quick. I was trying to keep myself busy as best I could, but everything I did, I was either reminded about the horrors of P. Diddy or started overanalyzing if that pork chop I ate 5 hours earlier might have been undercooked and about to give me some food poisoning. Which what the fuck am I gonna do then? I can't call the ambulance. I'm baked as fuck, and I'm in the US. It will cost me like 50 grand, bruh. Thankfully though, like with all grass highs, it's all in your head, and unless you took some potent eddies, it starts wearing off in a couple hours. So all in all, I learned that Moonrock is way more crazy than I thought, and that I should probably revisit its more potent brother Sunrock as well, cause this trip left me wondering, what would happen if I smoked that shit properly? Sunrock, the most powerful grass that humanity has ever conjured up, with even its less potent relative Moonrock being so extreme that
Moonrock is too
says
much,
it's
dog.
too much. And since I had once already traveled to the moon and made it back alive, barely, I saw it only fitting for me to conquer the sun as
The
well.
ultimate is sun.
But unlike last time, where I was in Amsterdam with my brother and had the comfort of tweaking together, this time I was alone, nearly 6,000 miles away from home, in the city of sin, Las Vegas, Nevada. The story kicks off a couple days after I had hit my first blinker and discovered a new realm of high. You know, kind of like Columbus when he discovered America, but unlike Columbus who annihilated the indigenous people, I was annihilating the Zazav, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, after seeing firsthand what the land of the free can offer in terms of getting obliterated beyond the realms of Mother Nature, I was quite intrigued. So, out of curiosity, I decided to Google strongest weed you can get in Las Vegas, just in case there was something more potent than Moonrock, which up until this point I thought was the pinnacle of bud. So after stumbling upon an article comparing the rocks from the moon and sun, I realized that in my ignorance I had crowned a false king, and the only deserving punishment for a big smarty pants weed stickman YouTuber like myself was to feel the full wrath of the true strongest weed in the universe. I hopped on the local Las Vegas weed dispensary site in hopes of having it delivered to me like the Benjamin, but either due to current weather conditions or just the delivery man greening the fuck out, it said, "We are currently not providing deliveries." But for the time being, I had no other choice than to leave my apartment and go to the closest dispensary in hopes of them having this exotic nug in stock. Only problem was that it was night and, well, your boy wasn't exactly staying at Caesar's Palace, so as I was preparing to go outside in the dark, where, mind you, I saw a guy walking around wearing a safety vest, rocking a handlebar mustache, and carrying a double-barrel shotgun the night before, I just had to take a quick rip from the bong to make it a high story, you know?
Okay, 2 miles that way. Wish I had a car. Guess I'll just run. Fucking bullshit.
A few minutes later.
Hello, sir? Oh yeah, hello. You guys have something called Sunrock? It's like, nope. Just sold the last stock. Those guys bought it. We got Moonrock, though. No, I've already done that. You know where I can get some Sunrocks, though? Yeah, the store a mile from here should have some left. Okay, yeah, thank you.
A few minutes later.
Sorry, I gotta see your passport first, bruh.
No, but this is like my government-issued ID. Can you...
Look, I'm sorry. We have a lot of people visiting from banana republics these days, and we can't start selling to everybody with a rinky-dinky, this is a real country, Google it, ID card. Come back with a passport and I'll hook you up.
I'm not from Banana Republic. We made Skype. We made
Hello
Skype,
there. Hello
goddammit.
Yes, I had to now walk back 3 miles, get my passport, walk another 3 to get the Sunrock, and then walk another 3 back home. And mind you, I had already ran 3 miles too. So you know, of course, cause your boy fast as bolt, quick as an electrical jolt, I got an Uber. Back home, but now I was fresh again, so of course, I put on my Space Jams and I got an Uber. But then when I was there and showed my passport, received my $80 weed, I was not trying to get robbed on the walkway filled with homeless camps in Las Vegas fiends, so I got an Uber. Finally, after wasting a week's transportation budget in 40 minutes, I was back in my apartment, Sunrock in hand and rolling papers in my pockets. And yes, unlike last time with the Moonrock, I wasn't about to smack that shit from my bong and get assimilated. Cause from the blinker I had done a couple days back, I learned my lesson about concentrate. Do not underestimate it. So I rolled me up a Slimmy Slimmer, basically a very small J. And something you might not know is that with these caviar nugs like Sunrock, you're not really supposed to grind them with a regular grinder, so I just used my fingers to break the nug apart, and because of that, well, let's just say the airflow on this J was god awful. Later on I would find out you're not supposed to smoke Sunrock from a J at all, but hey, you live and you learn. Anyway, I went to my patio and attempted to light this abomination, and I mean, it really was. Imagine taking some A4 Wagyu steak and serving it in a dirty bucket, but alas, I still... The first puff. Yes, the goddamn first puff got me drafted in a galactic war against the Matrix. And I think that had to do with the fact that Jay only had like 3 puffs in it, because I was basically just smoking straight nugs. But I decided for the legacy of CBD, bro, I shall do another puff. The French Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars, the moon landing, the splitting of the atom, the theory of relativity, it all flashed before my eyes because I now saw the world from an interstellar position. And I would love to say I now went on some grand adventure and discovered the Holy Grail with some Las Vegas crackheads, but this was different. The high was spent glued to my couch, wondering the meaning of the universe and how I had traveled 6,000 miles across the ocean and was now sitting on a couch in some random Airbnb completely and utterly blasted beyond human understanding. After about 15 minutes of doing literally nothing but staring at my wall, I decided to watch some YouTube and found this guy called Oversimplified who makes these historical animation videos and spent a good portion of my high learning about the history of our world. Too bad I don't remember a goddamn thing, but at the time I felt like I was really becoming a damn scholar. I guess the lessons and memories of that high are waiting for me once I return to the land of the sun.
Where am I?
Man, I told you not to smoke that sun rock. You stuck on the sun now, fool, with the rest of us.
No! Oh, no, wait, that was just a dream. Damn, I'm fucked up.
Yeah, bro. You were in a hell of a kush coma.
Yeah, I guess I was. Wait! Bro, I got stuck in a kush coma, my dudes. Shit was crazy, and I don't actually remember the exact dreams I saw, but they were pretty trippy, and it was one of those inception things that had me waking up from a dream into another dream, son. Safe to say, I had gotten assimilated. But it was kind of nice, because it was a real clear high without anxiety, which usually when you get that obliterated, it always comes accompanied with just a little bit of anxiety at least. So, are sun rocks stronger than moon rocks? Yes, but the main thing I took from this high was that they also kinda better, but I mean, I've only done both once, so once I return to the US, I'll give them both another try and make a conclusion then.
Everybody's first time doing edibles is always the same. First you eat them, then you wait for like 25 minutes, then you confidently proclaim, "These edibles ain't shit." And then for the next couple hours, you just drift away further and further into that. The government are reptiles, the ocean is fake, the earth is a cube, and I must slay the Ender Dragon tonight. In my case, my first edibles really weren't shit, cause we accidentally might have forgotten them in the oven and burnt that THC into CO2, but we didn't let that discourage us from trying again the next day. So me and my brother, still fueled by the disappointment of yesterday, wake up at 9 AM and start plotting our next move. We only have 1 gram left, so if this fails, we're pretty much screwed. One thing you might not know about making edibles is if you're throwing straight grass in the oven like we did, then be prepared for the whole house to smell like Snoop Dogg's living room. So we had to carefully time our cooking so that when our parents got home, the house wouldn't smell like the plug's car, if you know what I mean. And this time, we did everything right, and after an hour of feeling like the stoner versions of Gordon Ramsay, we held the finished product in our hands. But before we devoured the THC cookies, we decided to go to Grandma's place because she lived in the countryside and it was a beautiful day, so we thought it would be nice and chill there. Also, Grandma always is strapped way up with the candy, the cakes, the chicken, the steak. She got all the munch a man could ask for. So we're driving 20 minutes away and decide to eat them Eddies, so that by the time we're there, it should start kicking. Yet, when we arrive, we still feel nothing. We say hi to Grandma and sit down in the living room. Bro, maybe we messed him up again. Nah, I don't think so. We did everything by the recipe this time. Yeah, let's wait a little more. It's been 40 minutes though. Should be feeling something at least. Yeah, I feel you. Well, anyway, I'm gonna go take a shit. So I hop in the bathroom to empty my system real quick and I suddenly feel it. Bruh. Then I hear some music coming from the living room and get intrigued. I finish my business with the toilet and go to the living room to find my brother jamming it out to some old ass radio playing some Elvis Presley or something. I wanna call him a dumbass, but I can't cause my body starts moving by itself. This music is peak, there is nothing better. Until the next old song comes on and it slaps harder than Chris Brown in 2009. I'm obviously talking about his music in 2009, not the incident with Rihanna.
At some point, we had had enough of the old-timey radio, so we turned it off and sat down on the couch to discuss our next move. So, how high are you? Yeah, I'm high. Yeah, me too. Real question is, do we take the second cookie? Now, we had baked 4 edibles total, so we had 2 left. We didn't plan on eating them that day though, because from what we had heard, edibles are supposed to hit their max in like 3 hours after consumption, so obviously I answered, I think we should, bro, for science. We took the second cookies out of their folium wrapping and ate them with some milk. Then we decided to go swimming, cause shit, why not I guess. As we're walking to the pond, I suddenly think to myself, am I cold? And then it hits. I start shivering and feeling like a warm pizza roll in the freezer. I'm not supposed to be here. I can't go on, I say. I'm too cold. My brother looks at me with disappointment in his eyes like, so that's all you can take. A tinsy-pincy little edible and you get scared of the cold, eh? Now, keep in mind, this was when I was 18 and I wasn't quite the 420 god I am today, so I had this thing where if I got really high and it wasn't walk around in your boxers type of warm, I'd start overthinking that I'm cold and then I'd actually start feeling cold. But I said to myself, no, I won't let these edibles control me. And I decided to push through the unwavering cold and fight my inner demons at the little pond over there. So we pull up to the pond and it's time to go swimming. And it wasn't that bad actually. The water was pretty warm and once I got used to it, I stopped shivering. So pretty much the edibles had cured my crippling fear of the cold. We start walking back to the house and so far I thought I was suited to the max. But then the second Eddie kicks. And bro, this was the high I had read about but never believed in. It was psychedelic. My vision was crazy, like everything was 30 FPS and I could see an after image of my hand when I moved it. So at this point, there was no way I was doing anything else, so we went upstairs to our room and just started doing the randomest stuff, like inspecting objects, looking at the ceiling, munching. But the one thing I did that I don't recommend doing at this stage was looking in the damn mirror. It was crazy. I was not moving in sync with myself and I felt like the mirror version of me was from the other side, like Stranger Things or some shit. After like 30 minutes of doing things, we got really tired. Just standing up and functioning had become an immeasurably difficult task. So even though it was only 9 PM, we decided to call it a day. But I couldn't sleep. These 2 monster cookies got me overthinking everything. Laying on the bed, eyes wide open like, bro, what if that really was the Stranger Things version of me? What if he's waiting for me to fall asleep? I don't want to go to the shitty other side. I know any plugs there. Where am I gonna get my weed? And when I finally did try to close my eyes, I started tripping way out. Half asleep, half awake, seeing these vivid dreams. Thankfully, at some point I did fall asleep. And not just any sleep, I went into freaking hibernation, cause I was out cold for a calm 16 hours. So I'd say lesson of the story is, if it's your first time doing edibles, wait like at least 2 hours before you proclaim the classic, these edibles ain't shit. Smoking alone. It's a lot different than smoking with a group because, well, you're alone, so it's exclusively your job to explore those high thoughts and piece together fun activities to enjoy the high. And if all goes well, you'll have a blast, scrolling shorts, playing games, watching movies, pondering the scale of the universe and how nothing actually matters. It's great! But it comes with a catch. You see, when you're with a group of friends, it's much easier to stay on subject and destroy the evil thoughts the grass might curse you with. So, in my experience, when I'm getting high alone, I usually smoke a bit less just cause being super mega high is 99% of the time best enjoyed with a group and not by yourself. Unfortunately, when I was a youngster, I hadn't discovered this. In fact, I accidentally got the highest I'd ever been up until that point. And the demons I faced that night made me who I am today. The story begins with a high schooler CBD bro who had planned a great adventure with the main homie Salamander and Ricky. Well, not a great adventure per se. We were gonna go to Salamander's place on Friday night and get absolutely obliterated off that Zaza. And for that, I had secured a whole gram of that exotic the Friday before. And although very tough, I fought the urge to blaze for a whole week just so we could demolish it all together in one night. And if you watch some of my older videos, you know Salamander had a bit of a funky home situation, so a lot of times his house was completely free, and this was supposed to be the case on this beautiful night as well. So you know your boy was excited as an 8-year-old on Christmas for this upcoming Friday night high extravaganza. But it all came crashing down when Salamander texted me, "Hey yo, my parents came home tonight and well, they found my bong, so I'm basically in the gulag now, so no smoke sesh tonight, nor probably the next night, nor, well, until they leave again. See you once I serve my time. LOL. A true tragedy. Our plans have been foiled by none other than Salamander's stinky old bong. But I think you guys can see where this story is going. I had a whole gram of that fine exotic grass, and I've been holding myself back for a whole week in anticipation for the now cancelled high extravaganza. So here I was, standing in my shitty little dorm, filled with sorrow. I decided, screw it, I'ma just smoke alone. So I put my level 99 J-rolling skills to use, and after about 15 minutes of fumbling the spliff, I had done it. I rolled a J that was intended for free people, and headed outside to smoke it all by myself. After heading out, I went to my favorite park bench that was just outside the dormitory territory and started chipping away at the abomination I created. 1 puff, 2 puffs, 3 puffs. I was faded than a hoe, but nowhere near the fadedness I had been awaiting for. I continued puffing away until I reached the halfway point and my mouth became drier than the Sahara Desert, bro. So I took a little break to try to figure out how high I truly was. As I stared into nothingness for a good minute, I felt my first person camera slowly pull away into third person, like I was in GTA 5 or something. And I have no shame in saying I didn't smoke the whole thing, cause I was starting to get a bit paranoid, so I took my half-smoked 1G spliff and headed back to my dorm. And bro, you know those creepy pictures that are creepy because they look familiar, like it's just a normal pic, but then you really look at them and realize they ain't normal? Yeah, well, that's how I felt when I walked through the hallway leading to my room. But anyway, once I got to my room, I was still feeling paranoid. Like, it was weird cause I had never felt that way before from Za, and I think that's just cause when you get high with others, you're kinda comforted by the fact that you're not alone in the feeling of being absolutely smacked out of your mind. Thankfully, I did find some comfort in my favorite platform, YouTube. So I started watching some good vibey videos and slowly snapped out of my paranoid state, but was instantly greeted with a new problem. An uncontrollable sensation that if not satisfied will drive you right back to where you started. I'm talking of course about the munchies. So I gathered my strength and started walking to the closest store, and once I arrived, well, I ain't even gonna lie, my wallet was at the mercy of the Za, bro. So basically every food item I saw, my brain went, "Bro, see those Twinkies? That shit looks bussin'." Yeah, I know, but it's $4 and I already got like $25 worth of stuff in my car.
Nah, bruh. Screw all that. You buy this fucking bag of Twinkies or I'm giving you a panic attack right here, right now, bro.
Okay, I'll buy the Twinkies.
Yeah, of course you will. Well, while you're at it, take that cheese sauce for the nachos too.
Okay, I will. After my brain finished ganking the shit out of my wallet, I went back to my room and started demolishing everything I bought. And after that whole munch sesh, I was feeling a lot less hot too, but also my stomach was a bit upset, so I took a massive dump, laid down on my bed, and started scrolling shorts. And I scrolled and scrolled until I passed out without even brushing my teeth and still in my clothes. So you can imagine the next day, I had a bit of a kush hangover, feeling like Shrek, haziness, and overall being slower mentally, but hey, no regrets, cause my brain wasn't lying about those Twinkies, goddamn. Mushrooms. They are famous for their mindset-changing properties, but to me, they have always just been a funny fungus that makes you see stuff, until the day me and my brother decided to do something this bearded guy called the heroic dose. And well, I can now confidently say that Mario is one crazy-ass motherfucker.
Oh my god!
The journey began in Amsterdam, like always, where we were going to hopefully enjoy our time in DEF CON 1, a festival so big these dudes made their own currency and segregated the population like the freaking pyramid system. Anyway, because this rager was 4 days long and we thought it would be cool to do something besides grass and drank for the whole time, we paddled our butts to a smart shop where, well, you guessed it, they sold mushrooms. But this time it was different. You see, a year ago, me and my brother did them for the first time, and because of that, we're extra cautious about the size of the portion, which led to us taking too little to truly call it a trip.
We did end up mixing that shit with grass though, and it freaking blew our minds. That story is on the top right corner right now.
But anyway, this time we were looking for the true experience, the type of shit that will have you questioning your very fabric of existence, cause well, we just built different like that. So as we were googling the right amount 200-pound behemoth should take to get the full experience, we stumbled upon this video of this YouTube scientist talking about what he called the heroic dose. After dividing the 10 with a 5 and multiplying that with a 69, we came to the scientific conclusion, we gotta eat a shit ton of mushrooms. And for that, we had to buy a ton. So we ended up purchasing 1 mega pack of truffles each, which is already considered a lot, but we also bought 1 extra that we were going to split to make it a ultra trip. Now, unfortunately, these truffles weren't allowed in the premises of DEF CON 1, so we did the only logical thing and hid them in the woods surrounding the festival area, which is important because this would end up making our journey 10 times more difficult. Anyway, 2 days went by of just chilling when we finally felt comfortable enough in our accommodation to decide, let's go get those goddamn mushrooms. And with that, we started our 10-mile hike to secure them things. To be fair, it was our own stupidity that led us to walk in 10 miles instead of 1 because, well, you know, we Gen Z at the end of the day and we don't know how to read no damn map. But regardless, we powered through with only our clothes, DEF CON wristband, and our trustworthy flip-flops. And thankfully, no one had stolen our hidden stash, so now like a pair of wild animals, we demolished those shroomy shrooms looking like Mike Tyson on Impulsive for the next 3 minutes. Once we got that done, we walked back to the festival with the intention of going back to our tent. But unfortunately, having walked 10 miles in flip-flops in the scorching sun, once we saw 2 hammocks under the shade of a tree, we folded like a Nintendo DS and laid down and waited for what was to come. And at about the 30-minute mark, I felt the first bit of kick, indicated by the prolonged interest in this random guy who walked past us with red shades and a Swiss flag worn like a cape. I sat on that hammock wondering, where is that guy going to? What's like his story? Is he a good guy or is he a bad guy? If he's a bad guy and he's about to do something villainous, I could have stopped him. Will this haunt me forever? Oh wait, I'm tripping. Snap out of it, Mario. And that was the start of our heroic journey. We then proceeded to bounce back and forth questioning, what you feeling, bro? Until finally, ResX found the strength to stand up from that hammock with the bones surrounded by jelly that were our legs. Which also gave me the power to stand up and start wandering around the magical place that was DEF CON. The more we walked, the more trippy shit got. We truly felt like we were in some type of medieval town from the fact that there were no buildings, only shacks, and the people there were all either drunk, high, or both. Some of the stages were also kind of scary because you see, DEF CON is a hardstyle festival, and in hardstyle there are many subgenres, ranging anywhere from remixes of popular songs to sentences like "Dance with the Devil" or "Long live the Antichrist," followed by a beat drop so strong the common man would mistake what he hears as noise, not music. Anyway, as you can imagine, some of the more hardcore styles were also accompanied with more hardcore people and more hardcore stages, which, well, when you're bugging off what we were, it got a bit intense. And it was truly a test of our characters, cause anybody can be a tough guy when they're drunk, but when you're at your most vulnerable and every thought is significant and uncontrollable, it's pretty hard keeping your cool. But in that moment, I was very thankful for my brother, because although we are both Chads in our own right, that day the power of a single Chad was not enough, and we had to really pull our power together to actually enjoy the trip and not bug out. Once we hit the 1.5 hour mark though, we randomly stumbled upon our friend who was there with us at DEF CON, and it was a very nice mid-quest point. We shared our experiences, explained that we are currently on another plane of existence, had some laughs, oh, and we also showed him our disgusting feet that we acquired from walking 10 miles in flip-flops, which he one-upped us by showing his messed up right eye, which he got from getting dust on it or something. After that, we proceeded to the final boss, our tent, which might not seem all that scary, but at this point we had ascended to to a place we had never even thought to exist. A place of pure mystery, questioning yourself and everything you know. The Peak. Unfortunately, I can't really talk about most of the stuff we discussed because it was some real deep shit. But I will say it was one of the toughest experiences I've had. It was scorching hot, we were 1,000 miles from home, and we were just not in the correct dimension, bro. Coupled with the fact the tent was damn orange and illuminated everything to look like Donald Trump's tan. And bro, the moving patterns, they were endless. But at the end of it, we walked away with a lot of knowledge about ourselves and broke barriers in our minds we didn't know were there. So this heroic dose, just like the name suggests, is only for people who are courageous and strong enough to withstand it. Because this was no easy smoke grass and play Xbox trip. This was a full-on journey. I'd even go as far to say this was, or at least felt like, a main storyline quest in our lives, which after completion, we really did feel accomplished that we endured.
Sometimes you do stuff that you shouldn't do, or at least you thought you shouldn't do, like mixing a mega pack of magic mushrooms with a ton of ultra fine Amsterdam Zaza. But I'll be damned if I was gonna give up on my one chance of pushing the limits of wonder and end up being some grumpy old man talking about what could have been when I was your age. Shut up, Grandpa. When you was my age, you was a scarf knitting, romance watching, Toyota Prius driving, zero host getting pussy. Now shut up and give me my $20 birthday money, you fool. Anyway, so it begins with me and my brother in Amsterdam, yet again. It's our last day there and we're looking to end this trip off with a bang. We stumbled into one of those magic stores that sold all of these crazy substances, literally shelves stocked with little vials of liquid that had specific effects comparable to every drug you can think of. But we had our eyes set on something a little more natural, a little more psychedelic. A mega pack of Space Hawaiians. We grabbed those shrooms and brought them up to the counter, feeling like some kids at a toy store buying their first Beyblades. So, how much should we take? All of it? What's the trip like? Cool. Anything else we should know? Don't be a pussy, I guess. Can we mix this with the Zaza? No, do not mix it with the Zaza. Okay. Jeez, can't be that bad. Okay. Well, if you want to end up like that guy, be my guest. But no, you were warned. So anyway, we got the shrooms and left the store. But after what that guy said, I was low-key scared of these things. And on our way to the hotel, I started Googling like a machine. Reading every forum post about mixing shrooms and weed. And well, I'd say about 80% said not to do it. But man, the other 20% were hyping it up like crazy. Saying that it was the coolest experience they've ever had. And how you become one with the universe or some shit. We got to the hotel and instantly downed those Space Hawaiians. And started waiting for it to kick. Hey, is it hitting it? Nah, not yet. You feel anything? Nah, still nothing. Then bang! Bruh, I'm feeling it. Yeah, boy. We started doing the usual mushroom things, like looking at stuff, thinking about stuff, talking about stuff. But after a while, we got the genius idea to go to the red light district. If you don't know what that is, well, it's pretty much a street full of sex workers lined up trying to get you to come pay for that sloppy toppy 5,000. We went outside and brought our massive joint with us and started walking to where the hoe's at, literally, and start puffing that hash. Mind that we are already completely shroomed up, so I'm a little worried about what this gonna do to us. It's either gonna be cool as fuck or not so cool. So by the time we arrived at our destination, we had smoked that spliff to non-existence, and man, I was high. I was so high that I thought I was in a fucking cartoon. Like actually, the world didn't look how it usually looked. I felt like me and my brother were pretty much aliens walking among these local people trying to fit in. The building seemed tilted and people's faces were blurry to me. But thankfully that didn't freak me out because I was just so amazed of how goddamn soinked I was. At some point I started really feeling my brain. Like not just a piece of meat in my skull, but the neurons that were constantly firing off. Meaning if I thought about moving my hand, I could feel my brain sending out the signal and how the electric pulse traveled through my body into my hand. So basically what I'm saying is, I felt like I was actually controlling this giant piece of meat that is my body like a goddamn mech suit. Anyway, what made this whole experience so trippy was the things we saw. The sex workers in the district were sitting or standing right behind these big windows and always had a red light to signal that they're here for business. But they seemed more like dolls than humans. They all looked the same. Giant fake lips, face painted with tons of makeup, and these skimpy ass dresses. Not gonna lie bro, it was low key freaking us out. Cause every time you walk past one of them, They looked at you, staring with those dull eyes, waiting for you to come closer so they can suck out your soul. Nah, they don't actually do that, but you know, that's the type of stuff you might believe if you mix cannabis with shrooms. We ended up walking around for like 1.5 hours until we got tired and went back to the hotel. But bro, those 1.5 hours, I swear, I was not on planet Earth. That mixture must have teleported me to the amazing world of Gumball universe or some shit, cause no way the things I felt and saw were of this world. But overall, we didn't freak out or have a bad trip or anything, so I'd rate this trip a 10 out of 10. Cause we had no issues really. After getting back to the hotel, we had the usual munchies and sleepiness. So really, that kush helped us out. Cause my experience with shrooms until this point was they don't let you sleep. But thanks to that fine natural grass, I slept like a baby.
I've smoked the good before, and I've done the magic mushrooms, but I've always considered these things all natural and comparable to the average Joe having a couple drinks with his buddies on a Friday night. Yet I cannot call myself a man of nature and discipline no more, because what I have done is irreversible. It is unforgivable. It is the substance straight from the pits of hell. This story kicks off at my favorite place in the whole world, the Netherlands, where everything from Zaza to vials of magic power are legal. Now, me and my brother were planning on going to a hardstyle festival, and to prep for the unholy party, we hopped into the local magic shop and asked the cashier, "Yeah, hello, so we're tourists and we're going to a hardstyle festival tomorrow. Is there anything you sell here that would mix well with that?" Festival, eh? I got just a thing. Bam! Man pulls out 2 vials of Explode and proceeds to explain that this stuff kicks, and it kicks hard. But since we have never heard of it, we just ask, what the f is an explosion? Sounds like some male enhancement pill, bro. Nah. Well, best way I can describe it is like but like way more energy and a bit less wonder. This didn't tell me much because I had never done but my brother had, so he was just like, "We'll take him. Shouldn't we see all the options before?" Trust me, there is nothing better. And I would soon discover that this legal store-bought product was not a crude knockoff of the original. It was an update. Anyway, the day of the festival comes, and we're feeling like some kids on the night before Christmas, talking about, "Bro, how you think we gonna feel?" "I don't know, man, but it's gonna be awesome, for sure." We at the tent area right outside the festival, and we do it. We take that shot of explosion, and we down it with a couple drinks as well. Just in case the cashier pulled a fast one on us and explosion was just a caffeine shot or something. But the instant my tongue touched that vile liquid, I could tell that it was no caffeine shot. It was the real deal, the forbidden fruit. We start walking to the festival whilst anxiously waiting for it to kick, cause I literally had no idea how I was going to feel like from this unholy pre-workout. But at about the 20-minute mark, I started to notice that I feel no fatigue whatsoever, even though we've been waiting in line with a massive backpack for like 15 minutes. And it wasn't just that I wasn't tired, my legs felt good, and I was wide awake. So I asked my brother, "How you feeling, man?" "Bro, I feel like I could run a marathon, then play a full-length NBA game as the #1 option on the team, and to top it off, run a relay race. Alone, and I still wouldn't feel tired. This shit about to be crazy." Once we got to the festival, we were just amazed at the pure scale of this place. 5 stages, a beach, fireworks, it was mind-blowing. Yet for some reason, we just started talking to each other non-stop, and it felt like we were connected on a multiversal level. But we knew we couldn't just waste our time by talking, so we went to one of the stages, and I swear, the dance moves I was pulling were impeccable. They were reminiscent of Michael Jackson, just godly. After like 30 minutes of vibing and dancing, we went ahead and sat down on the grass to discuss our next move, but not even 1 minute went by when we were approached by these 2 teenagers, about the same age as we were. They sat down next to us and started engaging us in conversation like, "Where you from, how old are you, etc." And we thought they were just trying to be friends or something, when suddenly, out of nowhere, "Oh, okay, so you're a tourist, cool. Wanna buy some We were flabbergasted. Had we just mistaken a door-to-door salesman for a potential festival friend? Yes, we had. I wanted to say no, but the words that came out of my mouth were, is it safe?
Yeah, bro, I took one myself.
Okay. So we decided to get ourselves 2 pieces, because well, I thought if I already did the stronger stuff, why not try the original too? So I could say without a doubt, I had done it.
To all my friends so they think I'm cool.
We take half a piece each, because we actually didn't even know if it was safe to mix the real stuff with the explosion. But you live and you learn. And thankfully, nothing bad happened. And to be honest, nothing amazing happened either. The money didn't really add any extra feeling, it just added more time to our high. Anyway, after like an hour from the second power-up, we sit down on a nearby bench to recuperate. And bro, I'm not exaggerating when I tell you this completely I don't eat, I only do drugs looking guy stumbles to us all cocky, offering us the powder. But not like,
hey, you guys wanna do some magic powder?
Nah, this guy had a pile on his freaking hand, and he wanted us to sniff from his palms like some farm animals. And we weren't about to go that deep into this whole, screw it, let's take everything we're offered vibe. So we politely declined and moved on with the festival. It had now been 2 hours since we took half the pill, yet it felt like 15 minutes. Time had flown so fast and we had no idea that the festival was ending in 1 hour. So we both took 1/2 more and went to what we thought was the main stage to see the final show. And it was freaking amazing. The fireworks, the performers, everything. Yet again, 1 hour felt like a 5-minute YouTube video, and in no time it was over. But not to worry, there was an after party planned, which we excitedly went to, only to find out it was a silent disco. Not only that, there was like a maximum of 5 people there, so we were like, nah, let's just go to the car and smoke a fat spliff. And you know that feeling when the party's over, but the party ain't over in you, but there's nowhere to go, so you just go home all depressed like, man, I swear I could've gotten some hoes tonight, if I only had more time. Well, that should have been what we felt, but it wasn't. I was happier than ever. I'm guessing the second had hit its peak just after the end of the show, so I was completely drowned with its powers. And this is when I realized how crazy and dangerous of a substance this was. Cause with cushion mushrooms, it's more of an experience. So it's like, if you ain't got nothing to do, and you smoke a ton of Zaza, you're still gonna be bored. But man, throw me in a coal mine with 12-hour shifts with nothing to eat but rice and explosion, and I'll still be like, man, don't you just love it here? The vibe is amazing, everything is great, I love my work. Thankfully, we both escaped that night without any negative side effects, except for the fact our lips were completely destroyed. It was a combination of the substance plus the fact we were constantly rubbing our lips with our sleeves the entire night. But that's just something explosion makes you do, I guess. But not to worry, the trip wasn't over because we had a whole 2 nights in the Netherlands left, and we went straight back to the magic shop the next day to acquire more natural ingredients.
Man, smoking too much is such an awkward thing, especially because of how normalized getting faded has become. Nobody wants to be the guy who kills the vibe by admitting they graining the fuck out. Like, dudes be knowing they approaching their limit, but peer pressure is a bitch. Like this one time in school when we were smacking the paper planejamin on lunch break, and I could tell everybody was nearing the border between Yodiland and the Upside Down, but this motherfucker Salamander just kept on passing the J, and nobody wanted to be the first one to back out. Everyone kept on puffing and puffing until this one motherfucker just started puking. Like, goddamn. Safe to say, dude probably hasn't smoked again till this day. But you know, that was high school. Most kids weren't on that Wiz Khalifa pack like Salamander. I mean, this dude's parents were barely home, so mans must have just been low-key looking for attention by acting out, but instead all he got was Snoop Dogg's tolerance and all the school thotties daily driving his dick. Some of you might not even know what it feels like when you smoke too much though. Shit, I know I didn't. My dumbass always just concluded that the stuff was laced, which looking back at it now makes me feel like a dinglebop for real. I mean, how you gonna smoke way more than you usually do in a situation you're not super comfortable in and then blame it on the weed? It's like a drunk driver suing an alcohol brand for making him unable to drive straight. Shit, it's like going to the store and buying too much food and then blaming the cashier for not stopping you. Like, bro, it's not on Jimmy the Plug God. Dude is probably smoking the same stuff
stuff as we speak. And yeah, I know sometimes it could actually be laced, but what does telling yourself that help? Like, wouldn't it be better to believe it's not and your brain is just tweaking? Then you could maybe, you know, calm yourself down. Unlike when you convince yourself the plug is a fucking supervillain going around giving his customers schizophrenia. Like, goddamn, son, someone's gotta like the bat signal for real. But shit, I'm out here preaching like I ain't done this myself. Back when I was younger, I did green out a couple times, but since then, I have developed rules I follow to avoid this at all costs. Like, for example, first rule, you don't always gotta get obliviated, bruh. Seems simple enough, right? But back in the day, every time we were smoking, my dumbass felt like I had to get higher than last time. Once the J reached me, I just...
Thanks, bro. You guys got another one?
Bro. No. This is just some basic etiquette too, like everybody wanna get faded equally, but one thing with smokers is they usually always chill and peaceful, so when you start hogging a spliff, rarely is somebody gonna forcefully take that shit from you. Just next time when you pull up, they'll bag your ass, pistol whip you, throw you in the trunk, and bury you alive next to Mr. Beast. That video would probably have to be on Rumble though. But point is, you don't always gotta be the highest in the room. Second rule, accept your limits. This is low-key the most important and the most difficult, but you might be thinking something like, don't you mean know your limits? No, I don't, bro. Cause I bet most y'all know them, just when you be watching Fulcrum smacking the pendulum like that bitch be only containing O2, you get a false understanding on how much mofos be actually smoking. Cause you can always do more, but what you can't do is forcefully remove the THC from your system and get less high. So don't be a victim of peer pressure just cause you wanna be cool, fool. But these rules don't mean shit if you don't factor in where you are and what you're doing. Which leads me to the day that made me come up with these rules. The time in my young life when I smoked so much in the wrong place, I was goddamn obliviated. Shit, I smoked so much I had less dialogue options than an Oblivion NPC. The first time I got high outside the comfort of me or a friend's crib, it was the usual business. We were chilling with the gremlins, me, Salamander, and Ricky, smoking up, talking about how we don't fall with school and how we finna make it out the hood. You know, the usual Gen Z shit. When Salamander, being the thotty magnet he was, got a text from one of his female companions inviting to what this motherfucker claimed to be a chill hangout spot. Although I do trust the homies, knowing Salamander's track record, I was a bit sus, cause I seen the places this dude hangs out at. I'll be waking up at the middle of the night to take a piss, then check the snap only to see dudes partying at some straight up trap house bugging off fucking ketamine. Okay, can't say that on YouTube, but let's just say it wasn't weed. Anyway, you know the drill. I don't wanna go, Salamander uses his 99 speech, convinces Ricky, now it's a 2v1, and I fold. Epic victory royale. But I agreed only under the condition that none of us drink nor do anything else but smoke the Lord's loud, because it was a motherfucking Thursday after all, so I wasn't trying to pull up to school smelling like a bum, acting like a depressed middle-aged man from The Hangover. Looking back at it though, that was probably the wrong call, cause, well, you'll see. So we're walking to the crib and Salamander lights up this comically big J that he rolled back at his place with a week's supply. While we're almost finished puffing and on the edge of obliviation, I see this super dope house that seems to be having a party, so I excitedly asked Salamander, "Yo, is that the spot?" Bro, okay, that place does seem pretty dope. Oh yeah, that's the spot. Glad you fought with it. Some people are kinda put off by it from the initial appearance. Anyway, let's just go in. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. You first though. Where are you going? What do you mean? The crib, bro. Leave it to Salamander to have you walk through an amazing street filled with beautiful houses and lead you to the only one that looks like Shrek's vacation home. To add to it, me and Ricky were quite frankly bugging. But as I mentioned in the previous rules, that's not always a good thing, especially when you're preparing to go into a house where your brain has calculated a 50-50 chance of being stabbed in the gut by a freaking tweaker with a kitchen knife. In my head, I was thinking, well, hoping for the saying, don't judge a book by its cover to be the case here. But oh boy, I should have judged the goddamn book by its cover and dashed off like Prime Usain Bolt. Cause what we were dealing with was in every sense of the word except not containing any of the actual substance, I think, a crack house. These people were blasting some of the most disgusting music I've ever heard. Shit sounding like the noise a speaker makes when you fiddle with the aux cord. And because I was high, that set the whole tone of my experience there. And shit, I did not know Salamander hanged out with vampires. Most of the dudes there were looking what you would imagine the local bum to be when he was young. I was in total shock. My teenage brain could not comprehend the degeneracy, the idiocy, the overall lack of humanity in that house. And it's not like I didn't try to have fun, but our highness did not mix with whatever whatever the fuck these guys were on. At some point, I saw him pull out a vodka bottle and they drank the whole thing in 5 minutes dry, straight from the bottle, like they were trying to speedrun liver failure. I attempted to conversate with some of them, but to no avail. I mean, what did I expect though? A drunk person usually isn't on the same wavelength as a high person, combined with the fact these dudes probably just got done sacrificing a goat to bring forth the Antichrist. I was starting to tweak the fuck out. Well, not tweak, I guess. Me and Ricky did have some fun by just bantering about how messed up of a place we had found ourselves in. All of this didn't seem to affect Salamander though, as we spotted him rizzing up a girl we assumed was the one that invited him, but we were wrong in that assessment because 5 minutes later the girl who actually invited him saw it, went up to him, yelled at him, and then slapped that man so hard it made him rethink his whole damn life. Cause as we were laughing at what had happened, he walked straight towards us and said, "Man,
You guys want to do some ketamine?
nah, he actually told us that this was probably a bad idea and that he's ready to leave if we are. Good thing too, cause if that girl hadn't slapped some sense into him, Salamander might have gone on to do the thing I mentioned like 3 times in this video. So anyway, we went back home at like 2 AM or something, put on some WWE on the TV, prepared to gleep, and got obliviated. Doesn't go much further than that.
Shout out to Volcro.
The 5 levels of being high. Now, I bet you've seen a couple videos on this topic, maybe even mine, but since almost a year has passed and my knowledge and understanding of the magic green plant has grown tremendously, I thought it's about time to make the ultimate, definitive, most precise levels of high tier list on planet Earth. And to make it even more fun, for every level, I'ma be getting more high to give an accurate representation of what the level feels and sounds like. So let's get it started with level 1. Microdosed. This is the level where you don't really feel anything per se, but you can tell something is different. You have a slight mood boost and your body might feel a bit more elevated. So like if your legs were sore, they're probably even more sore now, but if you're lying on your bed, well, its comfortability is probably up about by 10 to 15%. Nothing crazy, but it is noticeable. This, however, isn't enough to give you the giggles, so that Amy Schumer comedy special will still leave you wondering if my vagina is actually comedy or just poorly done slapstick humor. And since I'm currently at this level, I can tell you it also has no negative side effects, so I can still do everything without worrying if I'm too high. Anyway, let's move on to the first exciting level, and that is level 2. I'm feeling it. So you're feeling it, eh? Well, me too. This is the level where that Amy Schumer special might actually forcefully steal a giggle or two from you, but not because it's actually funny, it's more like you're laughing at her rather than with her. Anyway, since you're now feeling it, you also might be feeling that movie a bit more, or that video game. Shit, you might be feeling your own jokes a bit more. Got you laughing at your own thoughts, fool. This is also the optimal high if you still got stuff to do. Well, to be honest, if you got stuff to do, probably better to not be high, but at this level, it's still definitely doable, just a bit more difficult. Another way to look at it is, this is the high the workers at Subway are usually on, although I have seen mofos way beyond this there too, but for the most part, this is optimal cause the loud hasn't got you moving slow-mo quite yet. As for me, I'm still able to read this script and pronounce my words just fine, so you probably can't even tell I'm high right now. But now it's time to get to the first level where a mofo can feel too high if he's not experienced. Level 3. Yeah, I'm pretty high. So here we are, pretty high. This is the point where, at least for me, doing anything besides leisurely activities is hard. Not impossible, nor undoable, but hard. If we take that Amy Schumer comedy special for reference again, as for some reason I like doing, it might just maybe have become funny, but you also realize you just high, so you turn it off and watch something else. Also, this is the first level where some thoughts might have become uncontrollable in the senses you just can't help but dive deeper into the fact that the bomb dropped on Hiroshima was almost 1,600 times less powerful than the Tsar bomb created and detonated by the Soviets in 1961 as a show of power to the US. But then you find out there's something called an antimatter bomb which could be even more destructive, but it's only a theory, but then maybe the US is developing it in Area 51 or something. Yeah, I think you get the point. But there is one sensation that is more powerful than your random thoughts, and that of course is the munchies. Coupled with the fact you're probably rocking some dry mouth right now, this in my opinion is the best level to be at if you're trying to stuff your face with enough trans fats to feed 50 hungry children. But you know, you already ate it also. Anyway, moving on to level 4. faded beyond belief. This is the point where if you're not in a safe space, you kinda screwed. Well, not always, but at this level, it's become almost impossible to practice rational thinking. I mean, if you were diving deeper into that nuclear bomb stuff at the previous level, then this is a point where you might start actually believing you are Oppenheimer himself. This stage is really not the best if you're looking to focus on a movie or video game or really anything because, well, your attention span is at the mercy of the za, and to actually enjoy this high, you just gotta go with the flow. As for me, it's getting pretty hard to read the script. If I look at the words for long enough, they kinda look like some ancient Chinese hieroglyphs. But anyway, if you're an actual lunatic, maniac, psychopath, Zaza destroyer, and considering hitting that gravity one more time, then be prepared for Level 5. Shadow Realm. I told you, bro, you gotta be a maniac to get to this level because the plane of existence you on now is so different from being non-high, you probably feeling and looking like a goddamn alien. I mean, bro, your eyes are so red and you feel so disconnected from your body that if you look in the mirror, you'll probably think, bro, is that really me? I'm so fucked up. Wait. Ah, shit, I'm in the Shadow Realm again, aren't I? And now that you realize you're in the Shadow Realm, you either stop the trip by going to sleep or Level Unknown, exploring the Shadow Realm. This level doesn't require smoking more. All it really requires you to do is just go outside and explore the world that in many ways has become the upside down from Stranger Things. Cause at this level, rational thinking has been completely thrown out the window and your brain has reverted to factory settings as of when you were just born. So if you see a streetlight flickering, for example, if you were normal, you just think, they really should fix that. Compared to now, oh shit, bro, this is totally one of those slasher scenes where once I walk over the streetlight, he's gonna shift me up, isn't he? Nah, man, fuck this, I'm out of here. At least, I don't know, that's how it feels to me when I achieve the pinnacle of high and am wandering the world outside.
Socializing high. You ever tried holding a conversation while being blasted? It usually ends up being a mixture of trying to remember what the other guy said whilst analyzing the little bit of details that did manage to penetrate into your mind. Just recently, I had a guy come up to me at the store like, should I get the spicy ones or the cheesy ones? Hey bro, what you doing at Walmart? Who is this guy? Ah, yeah, we met at that party a month ago. Oh yeah, I should say something. Yeah bro, just chilling. Just chilling at Walmart? That's cool that you could just what does that like even that mean? My mom just should I say something to add to it? I don't know where to go. No, it's too long already. I'm gonna be homeless soon. Wait, what's this guy talking about? So yeah, just been really sad because of that lately. Yeah man, I get you. But don't worry, cause there's always a bright side at the end of the tunnel, man. Bright side at the end of the tunnel? My mom just died and I'm gonna be homeless now, so I don't know about that, man. I'm sorry, bro. I didn't know. But I just told you 10 seconds ago. Okay, see you, bro. Hope things get better soon. What was that guy talking about? I don't know. I think I'll take the spicy Doritos. It's even worse when you blast it onto Mars with a spaceship type of high. Cause I swear, I be getting memory wiped every 5 seconds. Like, I don't want to be mean or anything, but please understand, if you don't get your point across in 5 seconds or less, I'm gonna be right back to thinking about that one meme on Reddit I saw 2 weeks ago. Bro, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I finally got it. The secret to making endless money is... And that's all you gotta do. Wait, sorry bro, I'm kinda faded than a hoe out here right now, so you said the secret to making endless dough was... Yeah man, what I was basically saying was that all you gotta do is start a business involving... So yeah man, I can help you get started. I've already quit my job and moved to Dubai. You can join me. Move to Dubai? What's this guy on about? I think I'm just gonna leave. So bro, what you think? You ready to get rich? Nah man, I don't think that's gonna work. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna go take a shit. It's not all bad though. You gotta love it when you see a homie at the store who's also blasted to the moon. The Zaza makes you connected on a multiversal level like, hey bro, what you doing? Nothing, chilling. Funny you say that. I would have answered the exact same way if you asked me that question. Sorry, man. I'm faded than a hoe right now, and I just got hit with that memory wipe. So what you say again? Oh shit, you high too? Duh, I'm at the store. What else would I be? For sure. You trying to hit up that candy section though? Damn dog, you read my mind. Unfortunately, social situations can be pretty tough if you're not an experienced blazer, especially if you're talking to people you want to leave a good impression on. But remember, if you're ever in irreversible trouble and you have no idea what to respond, just say, "That's crazy, bruh, but I'm way too faded right now."
I'm sorry, I don't think I quite understand.
I said that I'm faded than a hoe up in this bit.
No, Charles, you're fired.
I think you guys know high school, and in particular high school bathrooms, were the go-to spot to go vape. And I mean, there was just something about those dirty sinks and broken urinals that screamed, "Come vape here." But anyway, if you watch some of my videos, you probably know I'm not much of a puffer. But there was a time when a young high school CBD bro actually owned his own shitty little dollar store vape. But how I got it is pretty damn ridiculous. It was a normal school morning, and as usual, me and some friends were just hanging out at the corridor, chatting, playing mobile games, you know, the usual. When one of the dudes from the parallel class runs up on us and drops a massive bomb on everybody. Hey, do you guys know what's happening today? Do you know? Jason Voorhees is running around killing all the students. What? No, there's a police inspection. They're going through all our jackets, bags, lockers, and everything, man.
Oh, no, that's really bad.
To me, this was whatever, cause I mean, I had nothing to hide. To be honest, I didn't even have a bag or locker for most of my time in high school, cause there was no need, being that I didn't even have any of the textbooks. But alas, most of my friends were panicking hard, cause a lot of them had a vape liquid, shit, some mofos were even carrying a bag of that exotic. And because of the police raid, everybody who had these banned items were presented with free real options, each with their own set of positives and minuses. Number 1 was the most simple but least rewarding. It was just to straight up throw away your vape or try to hide it somewhere outside the school grounds. Although the latter was near impossible because the school was kind of monitoring students trying to leave. The upside though with this was that it was real simple, stress-free and easy. Downside being, to some of these dudes, their vape was their baby. And if it was an expensive one, it was kind of out of the question cause $50 back then was months of saving. The second option was to YOLO it and try to hide the vape in school or on school grounds. Now, most dudes didn't even consider this an option, and I don't know why. Mofos were on about, yeah, but if they find it, it's got my DNA on it. Like, bro, who do you think you are? If you really were out here flipping packs like Pablo Escobar and on the police most wanted list, you probably wouldn't be in high school. I bet they were watching too much CSI Investigation, or I don't know, were bugging off that paranoid pack, cause that just seems stupid to me, even back then. But alas, this paranoia is what kinda led me to purchase a vape, because the third option was sell your vape for a massive discount. And a lot of mofos did this, and me being the businessman I am, I took this opportunity to purchase a fine machine that I looked up and found to cost around $35. Now, how big was this discount, you might be wondering? 20, 30, 50%? No. I purchased myself a fine vaporizing machine for the price of $2 and half of my double Snickers bar. Although it wasn't quite the deal it might seem. So here I am. It's about 10 a.m. Next class is gonna start in like 10 minutes, and I'm brainstorming, trying to think of the perfect place to hide this thing. I considered putting in one of those tissue dispensaries in the bathroom, cause they were really easy to open and it seemed like the move. But then I thought, what if someone got a major case of diarrhea or something and end up emptying it out only for my vape to pop out? And worst case scenario, he tells the teacher and they devise a plan to catch me lacking at the end of the day when I try to go retrieve my vape. So yeah, I was kind of on that paranoia pack too. But what I ended up doing is actually a lot more complicated and devious. You see, inside the school grounds, there were a couple good areas, one being the running track that was covered by these rubber mats that you could lift up and just about squeeze a smaller vape in. The only problem was, everybody thought of this, and by the time I went outside to stash my vape, I saw like 4 or 5 dudes all walking back from the track looking all sus. I just assumed everybody had hidden their piece there, so I had to think of something else, cause I ain't trying to copy others. And what I came up with was genius. I hid my vape near this big ass vent that regulated the school's climate, I think. They were these stone slabs there, you see, and after wrapping my vape up with rubber bands and toilet paper, I lifted up the slab and stashed it there. Genius. Well, it would have been if not for one crucial mistake, the single flaw in my master plan. Being so proud of my devious plot, I decided to tell like 5 or 6 friends of this, only to be betrayed and have my vape stolen by Ricky. But it took me a good month to figure that out, as he had taken the vape for personal use, I guess. I really don't know. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention to you guys is the vape, well, it was kinda broken. At the time I couldn't tell cause I didn't know jack about him, but every time I tried to inhale it, it gave off this burning taste and would make the smallest of clouds, so I couldn't even do them cool little tricks. Eventually, I ended up getting that vape back, but at that point, I was kinda done with it, so I just kinda brought it to school one day and threw it off the 5th story and watched how the $2 half Snickers bar investment was shattered into millions of pieces, and my dreams of making a 5 to 10x return on investment were dead. Oh, and it turns out the police weren't even there to manhandle the students and take their vapes. They were there to check on some equipment that had accidentally gone off during a fire alarm or something. So yeah, never trust a dude who looks like he's being chased by a serial killer cause his vape might be taken away. That's like the moral of the story, I think. I don't know about you guys, but the high schools I went to, everybody and they mamas was puffing on some type of G Fuel flavored mist. Got to the point where mofos were scared to go to the bathroom in fear of getting peer pressured into taking a quick rip. I mean, imagine being the new kid at school and you just want to take a quick poopington in the bathroom, but as soon as you walk in, you're greeted with 4 dudes sharing the mist machine whilst hogging the whole sink area. Worst part was, every time you walked in, they made you feel like you were doing something wrong, like you interrupted their confidential meeting or some. Thankfully, even though I never really got into vaping, I was cool with most of the dudes who did. So today, I thought I'd go over all the types of vapors I encountered during my high school career. So let's get right into number 1. The Airbender. This guy's the one who did all them cool tricks the other kids couldn't do. I'm not sure if he got any respect from knowing the ways of the wind, but shit, gotta respect the dedication. Cause when I hit the occasional Puffington, I always try to recreate them. To be honest, that's the only reason I ever took a rip. I just thought they looked so cool. Dude was in the bathroom blowing jellyfishes or whatever the tricks were called. Mofo was looking like he lived in the Hidden Mist Village. The Hidden Mist Village being the school bathroom, of course. But besides that, these dudes were pretty chill. They never really peer pressured anyone nor begged for quick rips. In fact, they were the one who donated them quick rips. Cause I mean, to learn all those tricks, dudes had to have a copious amount of that sweet mango flavored liquid. But talking about begging for quick rips, number 2, the Parasite. Oh boy, the Parasite. The universally hated vapor. This the kid that was always in the damn mystified bathroom slithering around on that my precious shit. Dude usually didn't even have his own vape, but was the one that was always puffing on one. Most of the time, no one really cared too much though, cause passing your piece was part of the game. But bro, this one time I was taking a dump and I overheard this happen.
Yo guys.
Yeah, what's up, man?
My man, can you give me a quick rip?
Bro, you always come in here with that.
Can I get a quick rip?
Like, nah bro, not anymore. Get your own vape.
Nah bro, I didn't know you stingy like that, bro. This is why no one likes you.
Man, shut your bitch ass up before I make you shut up.
What you gonna do, bro?
These dudes were really fighting in the bathroom over some watermelon flavored air. But one thing's for sure, that dude never asked for a quick rip from that guy again. To be honest, I rarely saw that dude in the Hidden Mist Village after that. Other dude must have beaten the nicotine addiction right out of that man. God damn. Anyway, time for the next dude on the list, which is number 3, the Plug. You ever wonder where all them high schoolers were getting their mango juice? Well, the answer to that is either they got some random guy to buy for them from the shop, or they had this dude in their Snapchat friends list. This mofo was straight ballin'. Dude must have been feeling like El Chapo walking those school hallways, cause everybody kinda knew him, even the kids who didn't vape. Although the plugs I knew weren't even big vapors themselves, and I always felt like they were in the circle mostly to advertise their new product, but boy did that shit sell. See, if you bought your death liquid from the store, you were paying a premium, but not from this guy. I actually looked into this when I was in school, and how they were able to have such cheap prices is by buying the base tasteless liquid in bulk from eBay or some, and then flavoring it themselves at their base of operations. If you look at it straight up, these guys were kinda scumbags, selling addiction to kids. But then again, they were the same age themselves, so they probably didn't even contemplate the moral aspect of it, so I forgive them. Not that it matters though, these dudes probably off somewhere in Colombia right now fighting for mango juice territory or some shit. Anyway, time for number 4. The guy who got peer pressured into vaping. Bro, I always felt low-key bad for this guy. I mean, dude was a good quality student until one day one of his homies introduced him to Julius Caesar. And at first, he was hesitant, but once he took that Puffington, it was game over. Dude went from, no thanks, I don't vape, to,
hey bro, can I get a quick rip?
It's sad to see, but unfortunately, unlike cigs that taste like dirt, the mechanical cancer machine will not openly admit to its nature and trick you into a subtle but noticeable addiction. So if you're thinking of hitting one quick rip, don't. You literally might regret it for the rest of your life. On some iron lung shit. But time for the biggest douchebag of them all. Number 5. The peer pressure. Man, how I hated this guy. Dude got his dumb ass addicted and now he feels like everybody else should be too. Out of everyone on the list, I dealt with this guy the most, cause a lot of my friends were vapors, so I would often find myself in the vape circle, even though I wasn't a big fan of the Puffington. But this dude had zero self-control. Dude would be blowing mist in the group's face and would always be like,
hey bro, don't you know the rules? To be in this bathroom, you gotta take at least 5 rips.
Nah bro, I'm good.
Man, stop being a pussy. Just one rip, come on.
No, really bro, I'm good.
Come on, just take one.
Yo, what's wrong with you, bro? You broke my vape. You gotta buy me a new one now.
Or how about you buy yourself a new one and I won't tell your mom you're selling mango juice to 7th graders. Sound good? Thought so. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like nowadays most mofos would rather breathe mango juice mist than oxygen. I mean for real, vaping is so normalized and common, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't do it. Like I swear, some dudes don't even have their own vape, but just know everybody else has one and rely on that to fill their addiction. Couldn't be me though. What you looking at? Anyway, since your boy is a freshly addicted nicotine fiend, I've experienced firsthand the levels of addiction to this devilish substance, and I hope for your guys' sakes, you've never nor never will touch the stuff. Level 1.
Bro, why would anyone like this?
Your first puff off that awful mango stick, and even though it tastes pretty nice, you probably thought to yourself, bro, why would anyone do this? Just chew gum or something. But then after a couple more puffs, cause I mean you're already at the function or bathroom or whatever, you're like, wait, what's this feeling? I feel a bit dizzy and lightheaded, but I think I like it. And boom, you just took your first step to addiction land. But if you're one of the strong, mythical humans who after that realization also realized that this shit can get bad real quick and stopped, big ups to you, big dog, cause you actually a true G for that. But for most people, it was more like, oh, this is pretty nice. I think I'll visit the bathroom tomorrow as well. And well, that right there is the beginning of the end, cause if you go to that bathroom the next day too, you'll move right on to Level 2. Social Vapor. Well, you didn't stop yourself when it would have been easy, and now here you are. Not a resident in the school bathroom yet, but a frequent visitor. At this point, you still don't have your own vape, cause in your mind, you know that's when you can't make any more excuses. You would be addicted and would have to face the harsh reality. But while you're at this level, mofos will urge you to buy your own one, and well, that's because you're always begging for them quick rips without donating them yourself. Which, although kind of a dick move, if you can somehow take those ego hits of
Brokey, get your own vape, fool. Ah, it's the quick rip beggar.
Without buying your own, you're actually doing good. And to be honest, vape juice costs pennies, and most of the fools who tell you to buy your own just don't want to feel inferior, so they try to get you completely addicted like them. But if you fall under the spell of the Tate fans and the word brokey destroys you, plus, you know, it would be nice to be able to inhale that cancerous mango juice at home too. You'll move on to Level 3. The Dispo Vape Man is here. You bought yourself a disposable vape, cause well, it's the easiest way to get your own nicotine addiction machine without forking up $50 for one of those weird futuristic box things that make them mega clouds. And because of that, your inhaling of mango juice has quadrupled at least, if not hexex mega dupled, which is like 15 times more. I think. I don't know math. You vape on your way to school or work, you vape during that time, you vape on the way back, and you vape when you're home. So yeah, things ain't looking that good. But remember how at level 2 you told yourself, I will admit that I'm addicted when I buy my own vape? Yeah, well, now you're telling yourself, I just bought one, I'm not addicted or anything. Which will be a recurring theme in the unholy land of addiction. Good news is, this is the point where most people draw some type of line. So like, I can only buy one vape a week, or I'ma slowly start trying to decrease my consumption of cancer. Bad news is though, nicotine is gonna try its damn best to beat that sense of moderation out of you. And if you let it, well, you're going to. Level 4. I'm addicted, aren't I? Welcome to Addiction Land. It's a lot like Yodi Land, except for it sucks balls. And there's monsters and demons and stuff too. At this point, you don't go anywhere without your vape. I mean, for real, the thought of not having it with you makes you low-key anxious. And also, you've abandoned trying to hide your addiction from others. Meaning, before, let's say you went to a family gathering or something, you would deem that a no-vape zone, cause being addicted is something no one wants to admit to themselves, especially the people who are closest to you. But at least you're not addicted to the point of not going to places you can't vape. Because although it is tough not being able to inhale mango juice for an extended period of time, you still have the self-respect to be like, no, I'm not that much of an addict that I'm not gonna go to my homie's funeral cause I can't vape there. I will endure the pain. Unfortunately, the whole addiction is deeper, and you still haven't touched the bottom, so if you keep on inhaling without lowering the frequency of it, you'll move on to Level 5. The depths of hell. Well, you're addicted and your brain has ran out of excuses to make you feel better about yourself. If anyone asks if you're ever gonna quit, your answer will most likely be, maybe one day, or when I need to. The latter being such an incredibly sad and stupid answer that I'm pretty sure the person saying it doesn't even understand how messed up it is. Like, what do you mean? You'll stop when your doctor says you have lung cancer? Bro, it's too late. Here's your chemotherapy for sure. Treatment starts tomorrow. All jokes aside, guys, this is awful. I've heard people say stuff like that, and it really does sadden me that they themselves don't even understand how shitty of a situation they're in. At this point, you have 100% started experiencing awful side effects like smoker's cough, phlegm in your throat 24/7, and overall low energy and mood when you're not inhaling nicotine. The road to recovery is long and hard, but if you can somehow find the courage to start trying to beat this awful, devilish, monstrous addiction, you'll go to Level 6. Recovery. Not much to say here. When you got all the way to level 5, it's gonna be a slow climb down. Unlike the lower levels where if your willpower allows it, you can just stop on the spot and go back to level 0. Here though, you gotta slowly go down cause you have actual side effects from not consuming Nick. But for all my homies who have the courage to admit to themselves that this shit has gotten out of hand, I applaud you and hope for a day where all of us can chill together in peace without having that constant voice in our heads going,
hey, it's been 20 minutes. Time for some nicotine.
And if you're thinking about trying vaping, then please, for me, you, and everybody who loves you, don't. It's awful and lame as fuck. I don't know about you guys, but I swear, these days whenever I go outside to catch some fresh air and enjoy the glory of the sun, I'm instantly greeted with mofos triple tapping the Elfington like it was a raid boss. Young, old, fat, ripped, it don't matter. Everybody consuming the Nick some way or the other. Shit, not even our goddamn elementary schools are safe. 12-year-old kids be waking up one day and just being like, you know what? Today seems like the perfect day to get an awful addiction that I will regret for the rest of my life and struggle to control daily. Yeah, better hit up Jimmy too. Maybe he wants to join in. But not all nicotine addicts are the same. In fact, there are a lot of different perspectives on the whole addiction aspect. But one of the worst types to be is the dude who never admits he is addicted. We all know a dude like this. Mofo be sucking on the Benjamin 24/7 or stuffing pouches under his gums every 5 minutes. But when asked if he is addicted, he always hits you with the, nah bro, just the fuck, I can quit whenever, I just don't wanna right now. Like, what you mean you don't wanna? Bro been consuming so much Nick, his brain has literally turned into a damn elf bar. And when you tell him to prove it by, I don't know, not vaping for a week, they always hit you with that,
man, I ain't gotta prove nothing to you. You don't know me, what I've been through. I'm a dog, I'm a killer. Now, it's okay. It's gonna be okay.
Even though this dude kinda stubborn, I feel for him, cause who really wants to admit they can't stop? But this next dude, I don't feel bad for at all. The guy who seems to think it's cool to be addicted. Okay, no one thinks it's nice to be addicted, but I mean, that's what this guy pretty much is. They think vaping makes them cool, and therefore shames others for not wanting to. In reality, pretty much every other nicotine consumer will tell you to never start doing it, and that it's much cooler to just breathe air. So, therefore, this guy is, or at least should be, hated by everyone on planet Earth. And if you ever catch a mofo pushing vaping to a homie, just run up on him and slap the shit out of him. Kick him in the balls while you're at it. Or, I don't know, at least spit in his face or something. Fucking asshole. But enough of this hobgoblin, let's move on to the dude who smokes cigs. Okay, this might offend some people, but cigs are goddamn disgusting. And I'm pretty sure they're even worse for you than vaping and nicotine pouches, although don't quote me on that. This guy lives and dies by, "It's all natural, bro," and proclaims, "At least I know what's in it." Like, sorry for hanging on to hope that just maybe, I might not get cancer. Cause this dude already marked his calendar for the good old iron lung. Not much to say except for, man kinda smells, so 1 out of 10. Never touch nicotine, let alone cigs. But now it's time for the occasional addict. Okay, this one is near to my heart, cause sad to admit it, this is kinda me. This dude doesn't have his own vape or pouches or cigs or anything, but that doesn't mean he isn't addicted because he still consumes nic whenever he's offered or the opportunity arises. Speaking from experience, this guy kind of in limbo cause even though there could be weeks, even months when he doesn't touch the Elfington, but then one day he might go somewhere with the homies and do something like this. You wanna hit this? No. Okay. On second thought... So yeah, even though it's a seasonal addiction, it's still an addiction. So call yourself out every time a nicotine addiction moment happens. But time for the last one. I only consume nic when I'm stressed. So, you only hit the Puffington when you're stressed, eh? So, what qualifies as being stressed? You lose your job, you get robbed, you lose your car keys, you stub your toe, you experience a mild inconvenience of forgetting the lights on in your room, so now you have to go all the way upstairs to turn them off. So, yeah, as you can see, this one is kind of a slippery slope, cause believe me, the more you mess around with the nic, the more you're gonna be in moments like this. What? That's so... Man... Unfortunately, it's all a ruse, cause in reality, you only consume nic when you feel like it, so you're addicted, just like everybody else. And a word of advice, don't start vaping, okay? It's not good for you. Mushrooms are a lot like that one friend who is always talking and it kind of annoys you, but at the same time you love him, cause you know he's always keeping it real with you. So if you are fiending for a third eye awakening on some Dragon Ball Super shit, you better be ready for the shroomy shrooms to take you through the depths of your unconscious, where it will dig out and highlight questions about your very fabric of existence, like, who am I? Why are we here? Do I like men? But anyway, that doesn't happen the very instant you eat the shrooms. In fact, the stages of a mushroom trip are so different, each one of them could be considered a substance of their own. But the first stage everyone experiences is Stage 1, Ingestion/come up. Right after consuming those Mario power-ups, you might feel your stomach twist and turn a bit, as your body is signaling to you, this shit was not food, wasn't it? But thankfully, it's usually pretty minor and goes away after a few minutes. While waiting for the shrooms to kick, you probably stare at a bunch of random objects hoping to find some type of moving pattern, cause that's what shrooms are supposed to do, right? Well, yeah, kind of, but after 30 minutes goes by and you're still staring at the wall with no sign of visual hallucinations, you probably think to yourself, man, I got scammed, didn't I? But then you start really thinking about it. Are you feeling something? And then you think about the next thing, and the next thing, and then you might laugh at something completely random like this picture of SpongeBob, and boom, you now realize they weren't duds, and you're about to go on a journey, bro. Also, after all this, you probably move on to Stage 2, questions that lead to more questions. You at the point now where you know the shroom's kicking, but you don't really see any visuals except for maybe the increased significance of every object. But the main thing is, you have started questioning everything you know, but not in a scary way of, nothing matters, there is no point. More of a, man, I love hanging out with Charlie. Wait, do I though? What type of person is he actually? He's friendly, but kinda secretive and keeps to himself. What is he keeping to himself? Could he be a totally different person? Am I becoming a better person by hanging out with him? What is going on? So yeah, this stage can be very eye-opening to some, especially if you're the type of person to hang on to problems and worries instead of facing them. Because however hard you try not to think about something, the shrooms won't let you. And although it might seem like that's a bad thing, it's actually not. And you should treat this time of the trip to pinpoint the main questions you would like to receive some type of answers to by the end. Because soon after, you're gonna go to Stage 3. Holy shit! The mushrooms are now almost at full effect, and you're definitely seeing some hallucinations, like moving patterns, disfigured items, wavy hands, etc. But to be honest, that isn't really the main thing, because if you approach this trip with the right mindset, as in you wanted to actually take something with you to the real world afterwards, then currently you are most likely intensely trying to piece together the answers to the questions you highlighted on the previous stage. But it ain't as easy as it seems. It feels like you were constantly on a breakthrough to something really important and significant, but then you lose it and have to start again with the pieces you left off with. But if you stick with it, you'll always figure something out. Maybe not the full picture, but something. Also, you shouldn't blame yourself if you start talking or thinking about something that you feel is very amazing, but then halfway through realize you literally pondering about the implications of the evolution of the Pringles Man logo, bruh. But not to worry, that's the beauty of shrooms. They make you think about everything on a deeper level, and if you can find the correct things to think about through the clutter of Matrix conspiracy theories, you'll still emerge victorious. Speaking about emerging, the next stage is Stage 4. The slow come down. You are now slowly coming down from the shrooms, which is indicated by the fact you don't see as many trippy patterns anymore, but also you're more realistic in your thoughts as well. Also, at this point, you probably aren't bouncing from thought to thought as much anymore and have chosen a definitive couple of things to think about. And with those things, you will find answers, but also a lot of new questions, which can be frustrating, well, until you get to the next and final stage. Stage 5. Journey complete. At this point, you have almost completely came down from the magic, but not really, because although you don't see any hallucinations anymore, you feel more in touch with reality and yourself. The best way I can describe this stage is like it's the fruit of your labor. This is the stage where you've gone through the constant questions and search for answers and come out victorious. Best way I can describe it is like you're high off some Zaza, but with a much clearer head. So this is the perfect time to play some video games, watch a movie, or do really anything you find fun. I think most of us have worked a minimum wage job, and the most easily accessible ones usually involve the flipping of the patties some way or another. Like, I'ma keep it $1.50 with you. If you ain't work at a gas station or fast food place and instead opted for something like a hotel admin or a waitress at a cafe or even a lifeguard, you really got off easy. Cause as a youngster, your parents usually make you work at least once to teach you about hard work and dedication. But if you were out here bathing under the sun and only occasionally waved your finger like, you can't do that cause I might actually have to work then with all due respect, you probably ain't been through the struggles most of us went through. I worked at a gas station for a couple months and that was my first work experience. But to be honest, the gas station and fast food place are pretty much the same, cause besides from the gas, it's really a fast food place for when all the good food spots are closed and now you have to settle for the 24/7 microwave gas station grub. But I ain't even gonna cap, I love making food, especially if I don't have to wash the dishes later, and that was the case in the good old gas station. Well, what am I complaining about then? Well, you see, the problem with all minimum wage jobs usually boil down to a misunderstanding between the manager or a person that's been working there for a long time and the guy who's there because his parents made him go or he couldn't find any other job. That's me. Because you see, in this world, some people actually believe that being a manager at some gas station makes you a successful individual with a firm hand whose commands must be obeyed. Or in my case, this bitch wasn't even the manager. In fact, she was working the same damn position I was. That being, do everything you're told and I'll pay you $10 an hour. Which really should be the title for every minimum wage job if you ask me. Anyway, although we were working the same position, she had been there for years. So, you know, she was teaching me the ways of the fine art of cleaning toilets, scrubbing floors, flipping burgers, and above all else, kissing every customer's ass. Which is fine. I knew what I signed up for and I took it like a man. Until I got to the end of my graveyard shift, and you know, I ain't even gonna front. I was being pretty lazy, or another way to say it, I was putting in minimum effort. But I mean, that's why it's called a minimum wage job, cause all you have to do is exert minimal effort, right? But this scallywag thought otherwise. There was 5 minutes left on my shift and she pulls up on me and asks me to stock the fridge. And in my head I'm thinking, why not? But I'll probably have to leave it half done anyway, cause my shift is almost over, baby. But then she hits me with the most stupid, hilarious, and kind of sad sentence I've heard in a long time. Once you stock the fridge, I might let you go home. Like, what do you mean, might? I don't know if you've checked our name badges, but yours is titled the same as mine, that being slave for $10 an hour. Like, don't get me wrong, I ain't trying to shame anyone who's worked or working minimum wage. It's a struggle out here and everybody needs dough, and minimum wage jobs are really the only option if you don't have a degree or special skills. But this lady, well, I say lady, but she was my age, in fact we went to the same middle school, was bucking off some straight exotic for mouthing those words into existence. Like, I don't know what she expected me to respond, like, "Ah yes, thank you for your kindness, I will see to it that it is done, your madam." But I just said, I don't know what you mean by that, but my shift is ending in 5 minutes, and I'm going to be leaving in 5 minutes. And to that, she didn't respond anything, cause deep in her heart, she must have known what she said was dumb AF. Now, what we can take from this experience is some people can't accept reality, and instead try to project a false one in their mind. For her, she had been working at that gas station for a while, and was probably starting to feel like kind of a loser, but instead of saying to herself, okay, I'm not doing so good right now, but I sure as hell ain't gonna stay like this. I'ma work on myself every day until I get where I wanna be. She took the easy way out and told herself, man, life hates me. It's so unfair. All I can do is take out my bitterness towards it in my work by being a total douche to everybody and acting like I own the place. No, wait, practically? I do own the place. Yeah, I'm the big dog around here. So yeah, don't be that guy, for the good of others and also yourself, cause if you let yourself fall to that place, you're gonna be that grumpy adult, talking about how life has always been against you and how everything is so unfair towards you. And I don't think any of you wanna be that. But that was just one of the gas station sweats I encountered, and she was a mere disciple. One with talent, yes, but it would be long until she could control her hatred. You see, there was another, one with much more control over her anger, but still working the same position. Yet alas, she hadn't been working there for a mere 2 years. No. 30 was the time of service for her. And she wasn't actually that mean, she just took her job way too serious. But I mean, I can't blame her because everybody needs purpose in this life, and if your calling is to clean toilets and make hot dogs, then, well, gosh darn, you gotta follow it. The only problem was, this woman was pushing this job onto me like I wanted to be there. Talking about if you wanna make it here, you gotta do this and that. Like, no, I don't wanna make it here, I wanna make it out of here. Got me thinking of how different people see the world, cause someone like myself could be watching 8 Mile and seeing the scenes where Eminem is working minimum wage and think, man, I know he gonna make it out of there. He Eminem, the king of rap. This is just temporary. But she was probably watching it and thinking, oh my god, how lucky he is to be there. If he keeps this up for a year or so, he'll get a promotion and make an extra $1 an hour. God damn. So yeah, it's all about perspective and the type of person you are, but I think the saying, shoot for the moon, cause even if you don't get there, you'll land among the stars, can really help a lot of people, especially if you are young. You should follow your dreams, however crazy they might seem, cause I promise you, it's quite hard to fail if you never give up. Also, working minimum wage is fine, and if you wanna take a job like that super serious, that's cool. Just don't force that same attitude onto other people, cause most dudes don't see a place like that as the end, but as a way to progress to the actual place they want to be. Have you ever met someone who parades the fact that he loves the Zaza, and if you ever say anything bad about it, he gets all defensive and starts frantically arguing about how it's good for you? Like, yeah bro, there are health benefits, but if you're out here doing 8 rips, 4 2 edibles, and half a cart every 12 hours, do you really think you're reaping the health benefits of the Za? Mofo beyond about,
it helps with my anxiety and depression.
like bro, what are you anxious about? Worried that the pizza delivery guy might be an assassin? Sounds more like paranoia to me. And have you stopped to think that maybe the depression you're feeling could be because all you does is sit around, eat pizzas, smoke grass, and watch Disney Plus? But people like this aren't the majority, and overall, when you meet a fellow grass eater, you can expect him to be just a normal chill dude who uses the Za to enhance his experiences, rather than rely on it for them. So today, I thought I'd go over some of the coolest dudes I've encountered who consume that lettuce, starting with the Za athlete. This is the guy who's always in the gym grinding to become the ultimate specimen of human movement. The thing that's great about this dude is that although he loves the grass, which is generally considered a lazy substance, he doesn't let that stereotype stop him from enjoying it. Although many of his athlete friends might hold it against him, calling him a crackhead, he knows that it's all about moderation and using the Za to enhance his recovery and free time experiences. But the best part about a dude like this is that you know he is a solid guy, that you don't have to worry about leading you down a bad road, cause he is always mindful of where the breaking point between just having a fun time with the homies and
Hey bros, wanna do some
is. So if you're friends with this guy, you can be damn sure he won't ever peer pressure you into doing something stupid. In fact, he'll probably be the one who will try to talk you out of something like that. Plus, you know, depending on the athlete, he might make the NBA, so best to stay on his good side if you ever want to blaze up in a LA mansion with Wiz Khalifa and Drake and shit. But on to the next dude on the list, the high gamer. I'm not sure how you guys feel about video games, but I've always seen the genre as the highest form of at-home entertainment there is. Although it is a lot harder to truly get into a game nowadays, when you do, the peaks of fun are much higher than watching a Netflix show, for example. Although that's just my opinion and yours might obviously be different. So you better believe it when I say I love dudes who enjoy gaming in orbit, because that's something that two Za enjoyers can truly bond over. Now you might be thinking,
everybody enjoys playing games, ain't nothing special about it.
I'd have to respectfully disagree, because it takes a certain level of power to really sit down whilst blasted and focused on a video game, cause honestly, most of the time it ends up going something like this. Finally time to play some Elden Ring whilst blasted. This is about to be crazy fun.
20 minutes later.
Man, screw this, I'm gonna just watch some TikToks. As you can see, it's not that easy, but if you have a friend who's on the same planet as you and you going through the struggle together in a co-op game, it's much easier to get into. So I for one will always have a special place in my heart for dudes who can actually game while blasted, cause honestly, it's not as easy as you might think, especially if the session lasts over 1 hour. But time for the productive and successful. Not gonna lie, these dudes are like a rare Pokemon that you might never come across because the requirements to be a dude like this are rather high, but the power he possesses is godly. This is the dude that has his own business or works like a sales job or something, which is a highly social and time-consuming practice. But somehow, this mofo has done all of this while frequently bugging off the Zaza. He's kinda like the Wolf of Wall Street, but instead of doing lines off a lady's you know what I mean. He's out here taking a fat rip and then minutes later closing a massive deal with some company. I met a guy like this only once, and I won't stand here and act like I was not in awe of this man's power. We were all just chilling, faded AF, when this guy got a phone call, and not just any phone call, it was some company he was trying to make a client for the company he worked for. And me being me, all I could think of was, oh shit, dude must be freaking out being that faded, having to deal with something like that. But no, bro calmly told us he'll be back in like 10 minutes, went to the other room and closed the deal, or at least that's what it seemed like. I swear, some people just have a godlike stress tolerance, cause man, I can be out here faded and get a call from my mom to pick up some groceries, and that shit will have me stressing out if it wasn't in my initial plan. I guess what I'm trying to say is, for 95% of people, if you high every day, you're gonna get lazy and content with your position in life. But there are people who can manage to pull off this lifestyle and still be successful, and god damn do I respect that. Although I'd imagine that if they weren't high all the time, they'd be even more successful. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, next guy on the list is the artsy dude. Now, this guy isn't exactly what you're thinking. And yes, I know you're imagining this painter who's always on about, bruh, you just gotta go with the flow. Let yourself be free and you'll find peace. Sorry, but what the fuck does that even mean? Although these guys can be cool, their gimmick gets old pretty quick. The dude I like is more of just a Chad who has a highly functioning imagination. Cause with a guy like this, you always have something to talk about, and they come up with some of the most interesting things. Plus, they're usually not just some hippie dude who enjoys saying shit that makes no sense and expects everybody to think he's deep cause he saw a quote on TikTok and it really resonated with him. He's more of the dude who'll say some master Oogway quote and explain how that funny meme actually says something deep about life, but then ended with, I don't actually know, I might just be too high. And I love that, cause sometimes a mofo is just too high and sees a deeper meaning in something that doesn't have one. But hey, that's just a theory, a high theory. I don't know about you, but when I meet a new person and he or she says that he enjoys getting high, I instantly think to myself, this is the start of a beautiful friendship. Although that can't be the case, it's not always, cause even though the excitement of finding a fellow saw enthusiast is great in a world where some mofos still think it's worse than things like alcohol, sleeping pills, all nicotine and other shit that you can straight up buy from a supermarket, in reality, when you really think about it, it's kinda dumb, cause if it was anything else, would you feel the same? Like if you were at a club and someone said they like drinking, you wouldn't think, oh my god, this guy gets it. Unless, you know, you're an alcoholic, I guess. But anyway, today I made a great list of people I've encountered who smoke the Zaza, but I wouldn't personally enjoy hanging out with. Starting with a well-known one, the dude who makes the grass his whole personality. Nah bruh, I can't stand dudes like this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of Zaza as much as the next guy, but bro, there's so many other things to talk about and do. The problem with these types of people is that I feel like they've missed the whole point of it all. Cause in my opinion, it's not all about how high you were, it's more about where you were high. Damn, that's deep. Like, I'd rather hang out with a dude who has never been high in his life, but has interesting stories / experiences and doesn't just talk about, yeah bro, I was so damn high last night, I was on planet Venus. Damn, that's crazy. So where were you at? What you mean? Like, where were you and what were you doing, you know? It must be a crazy story. Nah, I mean, I was just at home on my bed, you know, eating Doritos and stuff. So you were just high in your room all day? Yeah, I mean, yeah. What a fucking lame story. Don't get me wrong, being high in the comfort of your room is probably the best place to be, but like, I'ma keep it a $1.25 with you. I've probably been high in my room 100 times by now, and I don't remember a single thing about any of those nights. To me, this experience is more like being in the hub area of a video game after a long and hard mission during the day, and you don't see mofos talking about what a crazy time they had in the title screen of a video game. It's usually, you know, the game itself. But anyway, on to the next guy on the list, who is the dude who will try to shame you for not wanting to get high. You ever met a mofo like this? These dudes are kinda like the previous one, but one step worse, cause instead of accepting that maybe you have shit to do, they'll call you a lame-o or buzzkill or bitch ass shit licking, dick riding, butt munching, cock enjoying, sneako watching soy boy. And for what? Not wanting to waste a day by doing nothing but watching The Simpsons and eating Twinkies? Like, mofos need to realize, although it is great to watch Simpsons and eat Twinkies all day, doing that for 2-3 days in a row, most dudes will feel straight up bad and sad. If you're a human being living in today's day and age, to succeed in anything, you can't be doing that consistently. It's gotta be a special occasion, celebration, or when you've already completed your goals for the day and deserve a break. But hey, at least they don't shame you for the thing this next guy shames you for. The dude who will make fun of you for smoking less than him. Now, this guy is a lot like the first dude, but with the added minus of he actually thinks for some odd reason that the fact that he has to smoke a whole damn cart to feel high is a flex. Like, sorry bro, but I know dudes who had the exact same mentality and let's just say they ain't end up so good. Like for example, this guy who thought being high is a damn competitive ladder that needed to be climbed. You know, like the army, but instead of protecting your country and pursuing peace, it's all about who can smoke the most crack without dying. Like, imagine this same attitude, but instead of Zaza, they'd be doing this with nicotine. Mofo would be 45, working minimum wage in the back of a gas station with a young guy talking about,
What's that? You still puffing on one cig, boy? I'm puffing on 6 at a time. But don't worry, you'll get there someday.
I don't know if I wanna get there, man. Okay, that's never happened, but I'm just trying to show you how ridiculous this is. And P.S., there's a lot more to life than getting high, and I'm definitely not out here being faded 24/7, cause if I was, you'd probably be seeing one video every 2 months. It's all about finding the balance and having the right reasons for inhaling the za.
Drugs. Something America has been fighting against for over a century, yet this endeavor hasn't been very fruitful. Basically, imagine the ocean as all the drugs in the US, and they have thousands of people with buckets slowly emptying it out. But the problem is, on the other side of the ocean, there's dudes like Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria who have direct pipelines feeding in endless amounts of pure Colombian cocaina. But you know, Pablo was the GOAT narco. Surely after defeating the Medellin cartel, things would get... Oh, well, fuck. Basically, because the US is by far the biggest market in the world, there will always be tons of entrepreneurs, mostly South American, who want to invest. And because starting a tech company with only 100 pesos and a 2-cylinder motorbike is pretty hard, why not settle for the next best thing? Drugs. From the opium crisis of the late 19th century to the current fentanyl one, we are going to look at every drug epidemic in US history and hopefully by the end of it, learn why the fuck does this keep happening. So let's start it off with the first one. The opium epidemic of the late 19th century. Welcome to the late 1800s, where opium is basically America's favorite snack. Got a headache? Opium. Can't sleep? Opium. You're feeling a little bit down? Yup, opium. Doctors were out here handing them out like strip club invites on the Las Vegas Strip, especially in the form of laudanum, a fancy mix of opium and alcohol. Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team fucking here. Hey, yo, doc, you think I could get a quick refill on that prescription laudanum? You know, that good shit. Sorry, John, we're all out. But here, take this Jack Daniels and powdered opium. Just smack a hit from the pipe and wash it down with the Jack, if you know what I mean. That should get you back on track. Rehab. Oh geez, thanks doc. Now excuse me as I go get fucked up on my medicine and partake in my favorite 19th century pastime, beating my wife. Godspeed, John. But then the Chinese immigrants arrived, working hard and bringing along the practice of smoking opium in dens. These dens were kind of like the Starbucks of the day, except instead of coffee, they served up a bowl of relaxing opium. Naturally, this made some folks nervous, cause nothing says panic like a little cultural exchange mixed with drugs. Then came the moral outrage, which wasn't just about the opium, but also had a hefty dose of racism. Suddenly people decided opium was bad news, especially when it involved Chinese immigrants. So San Francisco passed a law in 1875 targeting these opium dens, effectively saying no more public opium fun for anybody. By 1914, the US government got serious with the Harrison Narcotics Tax Act, making it way harder to get opium without a lot of paperwork. And just like that, the first US drug epidemic started to fade, leaving behind a legacy of questionable drug policies and a whole lot of finger pointing. So what did we learn, or rather should have learned? Well, maybe that it's a bad idea to get the entire country hooked on a substance before figuring out how addictive it is, and that blaming everything on immigrants never really solves the problem, but alas, this lesson was forgotten pretty fast. Now let's jump to the second multi-drug epidemic, which was the heroin, speed, and barbiturates crisis of the mid-20th century. Did you know heroin wasn't always the notorious bad guy we know today? In fact, it started as a miracle drug that was supposed to cure people of their morphine addictions, which I think you're probably starting to see a bit of a pattern here with the US being overly confident in their medical knowledge and getting people hooked on hardcore drugs. Tom, what are you doing with that morphine? Oh, well, I've had this headache since the morning. Well, good luck with that. Morphine is like super addictive, bro. What's that? Oh, this is just heroin. It's like way better than morphine, like way better. Heroin is in fact better than morphine, specifically 2 to 3 times strong. I mean,
better. Anyway, doctors back then really did think they'd hit the jackpot. Got a cough? Here's heroin the hero. Feeling a little down? Heroin's got your back. But instead of curing addictions, it just traded one addiction for another, stronger one. And people got hooked faster than you can say Chains FR clone. Fast forward to the 1960s and 70s, and heroin was like that super obnoxious drunk guy who refused to leave the function. It spread like wildfire, especially in cities. You had everyone from jazz musicians to war veterans getting tangled up in heroin's sticky web. It was cheap, it was potent, and it was everywhere. And then came the crime. As you might guess, a bunch of people addicted to opioids isn't exactly a recipe for peace and harmony. Crime rates soared and cities became battlegrounds, with heroin at the center of it all. The government's solution? A big, shiny war on drugs, which mostly involved cracking down on users and dealers with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. Instead of helping addicts, they threw them in jail, which was about as effective as smoking indica to boost productivity. Around the same time, there were actually two other drugs that were causing havoc as well: barbiturates and amphetamine, aka speed. On one hand, you had amphetamines, or you might know it by its street name, speed. No, not that speed. That speed, yeah. But why was it called speed? Well, cause one dose of these Chaos Emeralds could get you tweaking around like Sonic. These little fuckers were like rocket fuel. Feeling tired? Pop an amphetamine. Need to lose weight? Amphetamines to the rescue. Trying to stay awake for 3 days straight to grind the new Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and become an omni-movement god before anyone else? Yup, you guessed it, amphetamines. But after all that speeding around, people needed to come down, and that's where barbiturates came in. These were the downers that help you sleep, relax, or just stop vibrating like a jackhammer. Doctors handed out like candy, thinking they were the perfect solution for everything from anxiety to insomnia. The result? A whole lot of people bouncing between being wide awake and dead asleep, often with a little too much of both. People started getting seriously hooked on this cocktail of uppers and downers, and it turns out when you mix the two, it's a recipe for disaster, like trying to drive with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. Overdoses skyrocketed, and suddenly, the party didn't seem so fun anymore. It was shortly after Marilyn Monroe and Judy Garland died from a barbiturate overdose, the government finally decided to step in, cracking down on these pills and making them harder to get. And just like that, America had to find other ways to stay awake, but now we are arriving to the more well-known controversial epidemics, first of which is the famous crack cocaine epidemic 1980s to 1990s. Crack was like cocaine's cheaper, faster little brother. It was easy to make, easy to get, and way too easy to get hooked on. Think of it as the fast food of drugs. Cheap, quick, and leaving you with serious regrets. Crack hit poor urban neighborhoods the hardest, spreading like crazy. Suddenly, everyone and their mama could afford to get high, and before you knew it, communities were being torn apart by addiction and crime. The government's solution? War on drugs, Infinity War. Okay, that's not what they called it, but I mean, it was technically a sequel to the original War on Drugs. But unlike the Avengers, who went after the big bad guy behind the chaos, it mostly involved locking up minorities, even if they were caught with even a tiny, teeny bit of crack. It was like a cruel game of gotcha, where basically everyone lost. Crack is also one of those drugs that if you do it once, it changes the biochemistry of your brain. The euphoria you feel from smoking that shit goes way beyond what the brain can produce itself. So once you get that feeling, your brain will start equating true happiness with smoking crack. That's why even people who are able to quit will most likely never be the same again. If you ask Dave Chappelle, the whole thing was a tragic, darkly ironic mess. He pointed out that when crack hit black communities, the government's response was all about punishment, not help. Fast forward a couple of decades, and when opioids started affecting white communities, suddenly everyone's talking about treatment and compassion. As Chappelle famously joked, it's funny how the tune changes depending on who's affected. The crack epidemic wasn't just a drug crisis, it was a stark lesson on how race and class can influence government response. And while crack might have faded from the headlines, the impact of those years is still being felt today. But before we can get to the current opioid and fentanyl epidemic, we have to quickly skim over the drug best known from a bald cancer patient with a chemistry degree. The meth epidemic, 1990s to present. If you thought Red Bull gives you wings, meth gives you freaking rocket boosters. It's cheap, it's easy to make, and it turns you into a jittery paranoid tweaker real fast. Meth, like everything else in this video, spread like wildfire, especially in rural areas where it became the go-to solution for anyone needing to stay up for days or just looking for a fun time. Before long, meth mouth and tweakers became common sights, and communities were left dealing with the fallout. The government's response? Cracked down on the ingredients. Suddenly, buying cold medicine felt like trying to smuggle pure Colombian. But despite the regulations, meth didn't go away, it just got sneakier. Hello? Hello, Doc. Yeah, funny story. Basically, everyone in my community, family, and all my friends and shit, you know, they got a nasty cold, so, you know, I'm gonna need, like, all your cold medicine, like every last bit, bruh. Sorry, you don't look very sick to me. Trust me, doctor. I'm a sick man. Now give me your fucking cold medicine or I'm gonna burn this freaking place down. Around the same time, there was also the prescription opioid epidemic, but the story there is basically the exact same as the opium one. Only difference being that this time it wasn't technically the government's fault, it was big pharmaceutical companies who convinced doctors that opioids had no side effects and could be prescribed out like Tic Tacs. Spoiler alert, these were some of the most addictive drugs in the universe, and comparable to Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, but you know, only like 1 or 2 stones. Now though, we're gonna talk about what happens when opioid Thanos gets all 6 Infinity Stones. The fentanyl epidemic 2010s to present. Now we're in the 2010s, and if the prescription opioid epidemic was Infinity War, then fentanyl is Endgame. Fentanyl is super potent, like 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine. A tiny amount can knock you out, and by knock you out, I mean send you to the gulag where you either clutch it or it's game over, bruh. The scary part, fentanyl is showing up everywhere, often mixed with other drugs like heroin or even cocaine, usually without the user's knowledge. Suddenly, what might have been a manageable, if still bad habit, has become a deadly gamble. One wrong hit and you're dead. The government has scrambled to respond, focusing on harm reduction, distributing naloxone, an overdose reversal drug, and setting up safe spaces for users. But fentanyl keeps spreading, turning every drug purchase into a potentially fatal decision. The practice of meeting a stranger at the club and bonding over some pure Colombian is really dying out, man. All jokes aside, if the devil is real, then fentanyl is 100% his doing. Out of all the legit hardcore drugs talked about in this video, this makes them seem like some indica weed. Whoever sells fentanyl knowingly should be judged not as a drug dealer, but as a murderer with intent to kill. I'm grasping at straws here, but the only good thing that might come out of this is awareness about the dangers of drugs. And although teenagers are stupid, I'd hope that this crisis might push away would-be first-time drug users, as the chance of literally dying from doing anything is so likely these days, you might as well be playing Russian roulette. And now you have the full overview of American drug epidemics. What did we learn? Well, we might have learned a lot, and I don't know about the government though. Hopefully, I guess. 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern-day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you?
Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me.
But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded? Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago, when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind so you could communicate with spirits. Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm. This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran-gran, that's when you really might be like, okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit. Since cannabis, for one reason or another, proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans, who preferred getting hammered instead. Which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18, you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want to blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now, let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles.
Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Islam. Here the za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date, there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who are already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US, via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the za to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all of this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what likely sparked the comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youth start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say,
"It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too."
Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican wheat plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the ZA even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE. Drinking versus smoking. Both activities resulting in an altered state of mind, but that's really about where the similarities end, because as we know, in many ways, the effects of these substances are basically exact opposites. So if you put a drunk man and a high man in the same situation, for example walking down a busy street, the high man will most likely keep his head down, avoiding eye contact, observing his surroundings, and minding his own business, all while being as low-key as possible. While the drunk man, on the other hand, will probably make eye contact with everyone, all while stumbling around, bumping into trash cans and shit, while having zero idea where he is or where he is even going. Obviously, it also depends on the person and how they react to the effects of these substances. But hey, that's what we're here for, to discover the positives and negatives of both and try to make an unbiased decision on which of these substances is better. And we obviously gotta start with the most important category, and that is the effect. You ever seen a dude faded beyond belief, hanging out and having a fun time with a dude that's drunk as fuck? The answer is probably no, because as I said earlier, the personalities of the two substances just don't mix very well. Being high is a combination of overanalyzing every thought you have and really going deep into your inner 10-year-old, which means laughing uncontrollably at a TikTok your homie sent you one moment and then the next remembering that we're all really just chunks of matter roaming an endlessly expanding universe without no clear purpose except enjoying your time alive. Ooh, funny cat video. And being drunk is the exact opposite in the way that instead of overanalyzing your decisions, you don't think about them at all.
Shit, you're telling me if I did a backflip off that table right now, I'd impress all the hoes? Yeah, probably. You know how to do a backflip though? Just watch.
Hey everybody, check this shit out.
Shit. Bro, I thought you said you know how to do a backflip. I never said I knew how to. I just thought I'd pull it off somehow.
Basically, being drunk makes you overconfident, unaware of your surroundings, numb social anxiety, and overall just makes you very spontaneous in your actions. But don't get me wrong, that's not always a bad thing per se, cause being drunk is fun as fuck. To be honest, in most social situations, it's probably gonna be way more enjoyable than being high. Just the way I see it, alcohol numbs your senses and worries, while makes you more aware of them. So although in the long term, smoking grass is probably less harmful to your overall life, But that's not what we're comparing here. So a bit of a controversial take maybe, but alcohol wins this category 1-0 booze. But now let's look at the thing that comes a couple hours after the effect. And that's the after effect / hangover. Not gonna dwell on this subject for too long, as I think we all know where this is going. If you get shit-faced drunk on Friday, you're gonna be fighting the urge to yourself on Saturday. Oh, okay, that might be a bit of an over-exaggeration, but it's low-key true. Because you see, ethanol, aka alcohol, is literally poison, and when you drink too much of it, you're gonna feel like you've been poisoned. Like shit, who would've thought? And with weed, of course, there is no hangover whatsoever. Well, not really, cause if you ever gotten absolutely annihilated to the point your body switches to autopilot before, then you know after waking up the next day, there is a high possibility you'll experience low energy, haziness, brain fog, and worst of all, the desire to get smacked again in the morning so you can binge watch season 1 of SpongeBob and ignore all your goals and aspirations. But that is a lot better than feeling so awful that you become a devoted Christian overnight and start begging God for mercy.
My head hurts so bad. I know I haven't reached out in a while, God, but please end this suffering, and I promise I'll never drink again.
Hey bro, wanna go to Lucy's place today? Everybody's coming. It's supposed to be a crazy party. Yeah, let's go. So even though the grass isn't the miracle plant some people believe it to be, I'd still say it's the clear winner in this category. 1-1 all tied up. Now let's look at cost. In the previous comparison of weed versus nicotine, I went through all the levels of consumption to figure out which one is cheaper, but with this one, comparing just the cost of the booze versus the Zaza isn't gonna cut it. Because you see, on a night out where you get wasted, I'd say maybe like 20% of the actual money spent is gonna be on alcohol you yourself consumed, with the rest going to entry fees into clubs, buying shots for them hoes, expressing your love to the homies by buying them drinks, and other stupid shit people tend to do when drunk. Also, unless you're a straight up bum or functioning alcoholic, you're not gonna be drunk every day. Instead, if you love drinking and partying, you'll be drunk every weekend. Or the other possibility is, of course, you drink a couple beers every night at the end of your day, which the best way to tell if you fall into this category is go look in the mirror, and if you have a dad bod, then yeah, you're probably in it. With smoking though, your primary cost is gonna be in the weed itself, ranging anywhere from $40 a month if you only blaze on the weekends with your homies, all the way up to like $500 a month if you're getting high every day. Which this category is quite hard for me to pick a clear winner because it really just depends on your personality and self-control when drunk, so I'ma leave it at a tie. I'm sorry, it's the only way to be fair. 2-2, we're still tied. Now time for addictiveness. I think the best way to answer this question is by looking at what these substances do to you, starting with alcohol. The saying, drink away the pain, exists for a reason. Alcohol is a numbing agent. It numbs your senses, numbs your brain, numbs your body, and it numbs the pain. Basically meaning you can drink away your problems for the night, which if that isn't enough of a red flag, it also has some pretty major withdrawal symptoms if you decide to stop being an alcoholic one day. And although with there can also be withdrawal symptoms, it's a bit harder to get that far, and from what I've digged up, they're not as hard to overcome. Although, take that with a grain of salt because the research on this field isn't super conclusive yet. But if alcohol is a numbing agent, then what is the ganja? Glad you asked. In my opinion, the Zaza is an amplifier, so if you're sad and dealing with some serious emotional damage and then smoke a doozy, you're gonna be even more sad, and the emotional damage will feel much worse. Obviously, if you get so blasted you switch to manual breathing, it can also numb the pain to some regard, but that's only because your brain puts your trauma aside to focus on surviving the high, and it's not like it's always gonna do that, it might actually just make you focus on your misery even more. That being said, I'ma give this point to the Zaza, because although saying weed isn't addictive is false, it is still less so than alcohol. So 3-2, the grass is finally winning, but maybe this next category will tie it back up. Variety. By this I mean the variations of said effects. So with weed, there are different strains that give different effects. And of course with different sorts of alcohol, it's the same thing. Wrong! Or shit, at least I have not once in my life drank some grade A distilled gin and been like,
yeah, this is definitely more of a mellow drunkenness.
It just doesn't happen. Alcohol is alcohol, unless it's tequila. We don't talk about tequila. Anyway, with weed, the variation is very extensive. You have your obvious CBD and but also nowadays derivatives like THC, HHC, and so on. And it goes even further with indica and from there the strain, and from there the percentage, so variety is definitely not an issue.
Oh, and I better not see no comments about, you obviously never drank wine before.
It's been proven that these professional wine testers are just a bunch of high society wannabes trying to act like they know shit. Motherfuckers be drinking $5 wine comparing it to a $100 bottle saying shit like,
This definitely has more of a floral and zesty taste to it.
like what the f does that even mean? It tastes like wine. God damn, bro, just chill. Anyway, 4-2 does. Mary Jane still undefeated.
Have you ever been baked and thought, damn bruh, I'm bored? Yeah, me neither, but here are my 5 favorite things to do that just mix perfectly with being high. Number 1, munching. Obviously, this one's a no-brainer, but I gotta mention it. Who doesn't love buying a whole birthday cake and a 20-piece chicken nugget special, then proceeding to annihilate your whole daily calorie intake in about 20 minutes? And the crazy part is that I let my body digest that kilogram of munch for like 30 minutes and I'm right back to hungry again. There is the risk of overeating and getting a stomach ache, which can really ruin your high, but that's pretty easily avoidable with the OP skill called jugging water. Pretty much, just drink some water every 5 minutes of munching and you physically can't get to a point where your stomach gets cramped, cause it's too busy being full of that health potion called H2O. Number 2, going outside with the homies. Now this one has a high cooldown, meaning if you do it for multiple days in a row, it'll get progressively more boring. But I think the most important factors for if you find it fun or not is what people are you with and your stoner power level. Now, your stoner power level is determined by the strength level of these 3 attributes: tolerance, confidence, and not giving a fuck. With tolerance comes experience, and with experience comes confidence, and with confidence comes the power to remain calm in every situation. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're baked out of your mind and you see some sleep paralysis demon type shit, you gotta be high enough stoner power level so you can remain calm and just go jump that goofy looking fool. Overall, this is a high risk, high reward activity, as if something crazy happens, you'll probably remember that night for the rest of your life. But if nothing interesting occurs, at the end of it, you'll be regretting not staying home and having a munch session. Number 3. Playing video games. This one is something that mixes quite well with being baked, cause a lot of times after a few puffs of that sweet magic hash, you get real tired. But nobody wants to just go to sleep and waste their high, so now you got 2 options. Lay on your bed and watch the day fly by, or get on Discord with the boys and play some whatever really. You're baked, man. Every game feels like playing Call of Duty Modern Warfare for the first time. And bro, on God, I be playing Valorant and be having some cyborg eagle focus. Out here hitting clip after clip, feeling like I'm Shroud out here in these lobbies. All that being said, the best thing about gaming on the moon is that you literally never get tilted. Or I don't know if it's just me, but I can be on a 5-game losing streak, on the verge of getting D-ranked. All the homies are arguing in the voice chat, and I'm just like, hey yo, guys, chill. We got the next one. We just gotta play as a team, that's all.
Shut up, dumbass, you're the one who keeps bottom fragging.
Number 4. Watching comedy movies or stand-up comedy. This used to be one of my favorites, but man, I've watched every good comedy movie that's ever been produced. Honestly, I've watched most of the bad ones too. A new thing I've been recently discovering though is stand-up comedy. And to be fair, it's good, but it just don't have the same it factor that something like the OG Pineapple Express had back in the day. That could be just a nostalgia talking, but I remember watching it when I was like 14 and it was just a straight banger. Crazy part is, I wasn't even high. One thing though that stand-up comedy got that movies don't is that you don't have to focus on it to understand. Cause at some point anything you watching just kinda becomes background noise to your thoughts. And it's good if you can shift in and out of focus while still understanding what's going on.
Hey bro, you good? You kinda just been staring at the wall for an hour. Yeah man, I'm good. Just thinking, that's all.
Quick tip before we move on to number 5. Adam Sandler. This man only makes bangers. He's just incapable of missing, especially if you get baked before watching him. Number 5. Listening to music and just vibing. This one can be a little controversial if you don't live alone, firstly because it is not something a non-baked human would consider as a normal pastime activity, but shit, when I'm suited and I suddenly remember a great song from my childhood or something and start vibing to the music video, I'll be feeling like I'm right there with my man Eminem rapping about being the real one out of all these fake shadies. This is also one of those rare activities where there is literally no downside to being as baked as humanly possible. What I mean is if you're just high, every lyric and instrumental connects with you. When you're at the level above high, you be feeling like you're right there with the artists.
You go even one step further, and now there is officially a full-blown music festival going on right in front of your living room mirror, and you're at the main stage with thousands of fans cheering your name. Just remember to be mindful of how loud you're being, because nobody wants to deal with an angry neighbor, especially when you're suited out of your mind.
So, you've made it all the way here. Well, thanks to that, you get to discover the secret 6th activity on the list. Number 6. Getting more high. You might say this is obvious, and it just may be, but there's a certain sense of exploration and wonder in trying to reach new heights and go beyond the limits of the mortal man. Also, this isn't as easy as it might sound, because if you're a daily smoker, your built-up tolerance just won't allow it. That means you gotta take a tolerance break for at least 2 weeks to even think about doing this activity. But oh boy, once you meet the criteria for this one, it sure is one hell of a fun time. Unless you have a bad trip or something. But shit, just don't be a pussy and you'll be fine. Hey yo, so that was it. Hope you discovered at least one new thing to do while high.
Being high is cool and all, but sometimes after smoking that good, you'll still find yourself just laying on the bed like, okay, what now? Well, don't you worry, cause after watching this video, you'll definitely have some great new ideas, so you never have to spend your highs just frantically thinking about every single situation you've ever been in your life and how you should have acted versus how you actually did. Anyway, let's talk about number 1. Going to the store/supermarket. When you ain't high, it always feels like such a chore to get groceries. But I'm telling you, you get some of that exotic homegrown green in your system, and you'll forget you're even there as a chore. The place feels like a whole theme park with the amount of stuff there's to do. Like, I'll be going to Walmart to get some toilet paper and end up walking out with a Nerf gun, a booster pack of Pokemon cards, and an unholy amount of munch. You really just gotta be careful that you don't get too distracted, cause it always sucks going back home like, did you get the toilet paper like I asked?
Yeah, left in the car, I think. Let me just go get it real quick. Be back in like an hour.
An hour? I've even had times where I go to the store so zoinked, I end up wandering around for over an hour. Yet for some reason, I get all paranoid at some point, cause I always feel like people start looking at me funny when I'm at the toy section or something. Like, what bro? I'm allowed to be here as much as the next guy.
You've been playing this demo for 30 minutes now. Can you not see that other people want to play it too?
I don't know what you on about, bro, but I ain't leaving till I drop this nuke. Number 2. Talking about random stuff. There ain't nothing better than sharing a big old spliff with the homies and just chatting. Either you start talking about some deep, universal, existential stuff, or...
Bro, you ever think that, like, dolphins are up to something? What you mean, man? I mean, they literally torture other creatures for entertainment, so, like, it's a fact they're evil and smart. Yeah, I guess.
Think about it. They're evil, right? So if they were more powerful than us, they'd kill us all. But they're also smart enough, so they know that right now they don't stand a chance.
Where are you going with this?
Bro, you know that 80% of the ocean is unexplored, right? Yeah, so what? So what? Bro, dolphins are smart and evil. They want to rule the world, but they know they can't beat us right now. So the only logical answer is...
that they're plotting something in the vast ocean?
Yeah, where the humans can't see or hear them.
Bro, so you're saying it's only a matter of time before we live in on the planet of the dolphins?
Exactly. Yeah, right. Yet a lot of times when you baked and chilling with your friends, you'll be wishing you had something more to do than just chatting shit. Well, I got just the thing for you. Where's My Dealer is a psychedelic stoner activity book filled with these super trippy images where your goal is to find the dealers. It took me a good 15 minutes to find all of them on just one page, cause I was just sat there tripping out admiring the artwork. It's like watching that watch while you're high video, you know the one. Only it's interactive and you get a sense of accomplishment when you find them slippery dealers. Link to buy the book will be in the pinned comment below, so go check it out after watching this video. Number 3. Cooking. I think everyone knows that the spice makes your creative side shine, but it also temporarily pulls a domain expansion jutsu on your stomach, increasing your appetite tenfold. And if you live in a household like mine, where the kitchen holds just 2 pieces of bologna, some milk, sugar, salt, like 4 almost expired eggs, and if I'm lucky, maybe some bread, you're gonna have to be real creative if the munchies hit you. And at first I thought, man, I don't wanna cook, I just wanna eat. But bro, once you get into it, you'll be feeling like Gordon Ramsay, monologuing every move you make like,
just a pinch of salt on these fine Irish eggs. Rustic. And now it's time to add the secret ingredient, the dry-aged Italian bologna. Okay, so it looks like it's not dry-aged, it's just 2 months expired, but no problem. Just scrape off the mold and it's as good as new. Fantastic.
Once you start your cooking journey, you'll never turn back. And don't be too hard on yourself when your mom says that all your food tastes like dog poop, cause she just doesn't understand what culinary cuisine truly is. Number 4. Exploring places. This one is very situational because depending on where you live, you might not have anything to explore. But usually, when you look around enough, you'll find plenty of places. For example, I live in a very small town with a population less than 20,000, but we have an abandoned prison and some castle ruins. But it don't have to be something special like that. Just get suited and start walking, bro. Even if it's just strolling around in the city, when you really high, you'll be feeling like you in Cyberpunk 2077. Nah, for real, you'll even have a bunch of glitches, just like the game. Walking in circles, things suddenly appearing in front of you, NPC characters from previous missions popping up randomly. It's crazy. Also, it's healthy to go outside, so go ahead and be the productive stoner that gets stuff done, not just eats Doritos and watches Family Guy all day.
Even though those Doritos are mighty tempting.
The plug, a holy being that will always be there for you, especially when you don't need him, and also occasionally when you do. And because I don't live in the fancy America, where all the big vloggers and TikTokers are, I still rely on the plug for my Zaza. But after years of buying from different plugs, I always wondered how much money do these guys actually make and what are the requirements to be successful in the profession? Well, finally, after the introduction of a new, scientifically enhanced type of grass, HHC, I kinda got the answer to these questions, and I'ma be honest with you, it ain't what I expected. As I said before, it all started with the introduction of the so-called new and improved ZA, HHC. And because it was new and regulations had not been set, even in my Stone Age country where an 18-year-old can buy a liter of vodka and drink himself to death, or just get hammered and get the sudden urge to call out the 6'5" undefeated heavyweight MMA fighter at the club because, well, when he sees red, bodies start dropping. Anyway, since this was legal and I am a law-abiding citizen who wouldn't even dare to jaywalk, I thought to myself, this is the perfect moment to see what being the plug is all about. Furthermore, because most dudes in this country don't know anything about strains, hash, bud, and just take whatever the plug has, I didn't need to worry about people thinking I scammed them. Also, your boy conducted a thorough inspection of this new product, using only the most delicate and scientific tools possible. Oh, okay, I hit that shit through a Red Bull canning. It kicked pretty nicely, so I dubbed it Verified Lab. After securing half an ounce of the Verified Lab, which is 14 grams in European tongue, I went to work on finding customers. And obviously the best place to start is on Snapchat. So I took a picture of the Zaza with the caption, $15 per gram, hit me up. Which is a steal, because, well, it sold for 20 a G here. And unfortunately, I only got one sale, cause I guess most of the people who I knew smoke Verified Lab were plugs themselves and knew of the existence of HHC and that it's like $6 a gram. But I was still determined to flip them packs and make them racks, so I hit up the most trustworthy plug I knew who actually had people in his contacts who smoked Verified Lab, but were not in the business of trapping themselves. After a thorough business meeting where we may or may not have smoked the grass ourselves, he conducted that the gas I had was indeed worthy of the title Verified Lab, and offered to buy it all for $12 a gram, which, I mean, I got it for 8.5, so I obviously said yes. At first I thought that was all. I made a nice profit of about $40 and was feeling good. But after about 2 days, I got a message from the plug I conducted business with reading, Bro, that shit sold out quick. Can you order more? I think I can actually sell this stuff for 25 a G, cause people want the same stuff real bad. Now, I think you are currently pondering two questions. Why didn't he just order more himself? And how the hell did these dudes not know it was HHC? Well, the reason he didn't order more himself is quite simple. He is a full-time OG plug, so dudes does not have a bank account to order stuff. And to answer the second question, I truly don't know. I couldn't really believe it myself, but I guess most owners really don't give a fuck about news and staying up to date with it. In the words of the great plug himself, these dudes just wanna get as up as possible. They don't know nothing about no THC, HHC, CBD, BBC, NBA, MMA, nothing. Anyway, it all sounds great, right? Everybody loves the verified lab and are willing to pay premium for it. Plus, it's all technically legal and I don't even need to sell it myself. Well, it would have been, but there were two problems that made it a bit more sketch. You see, the issue with HHC is that it's a chemically produced product. All it actually is THC with a couple extra hydrogen molecules. And through thorough research, both practical and scientifical, I found out that HHC is very unstable in nature, meaning one patch of the same strain can truly be verified lab. But then the next patch made with the exact same za and same way could be some whack leftover Reggie. It's because it's very hard to control how well this hydrogen molecule binds to the THC, and not financially worth it to control the potency of each patch. So you could order that shit once and get some damn moon rock, or like the first experience I had with HHC, get some damn oregano. And the second problem was the plug I was conducting business with didn't want that risk all to himself, so I would have to cover the upfront costs of the HHC and then give it to him where he would hopefully flip it for 25 bucks a G, which I would receive 15 bucks a G and him 10. So here I was with quite the pickle of a conundrum. Should I order a whole ounce of HHC, which by buying an ounce you get the best price per gram, but I risk it being whack Reggie? Or should I just order a fourth, therefore lowering the risk of getting whack product, but also lowering the profit margins? And the conclusion I arrived at was the best of both worlds. I ordered half an ounce just like before. After receiving the good, I gave half of it to the trustworthy OG plug and waited for that passive income to roll in. But unfortunately, it was as I feared. The stuff I got this time was still good and solid, but it just wasn't the verified loud I received before. So the OG plug was having trouble marketing it as premium za and lowered the price to the industry standard 20 bucks a G. But unfortunately, dudes were catching on as well, and some of them refused to buy the za cause they could just order it online. Like, yeah, you can, but wouldn't you rather buy from your friendly neighborhood plug? I guess not, cause after a couple days, the OG plug sent me another message. Yo, this stuff ain't moving like before, and people catching on about the origins. I have half of the stuff left. If you want, I'll buy it out for 10 bucks a G, or just return it to you. Which I hesitantly chose the first option, so I had him just buy it out. Yet there was still the issue of the 7 Gs or so I had left, which I initially planned on flipping, but was unfortunately unable to, cause mofos knew I got that shit for pennies compared to the asking price. So I did as old plugs would do and dubbed the leftover HHC as my personal stash, and just started blazing my own product, which was kinda stupid in hindsight because a couple weeks after, HHC was illegalized, as we all knew it would be, and became a rarity in the za industry. Which mofo started flipping that shit for 30 bucks a G, like goddamn, it ain't even that different from normal za. Anyway, by the end of it all, I made a bit under $100 in profit, or in another metric, about 10 Gs of za, which I smoked myself. So really the conclusion to my plugging experience was I got free grass, which was a bit underwhelming cause I was hoping to become the local Pablo Escobar, if you know what I mean. Moral of the story is don't get high off your own supply, or at least if you want to be a businessman. Oh, and also don't sell illegal things, cause well, this HHC was legal, so I could have technically flipped it on Facebook Marketplace or something. I think we can all agree that the magic broccoli can make you more creative. However, how does that creativity translate outside the realm of Yodi land is a whole different question. Now, me being the certified weed scientist, doctor, officer, and more, I've had a lot of sometimes stupid, sometimes brilliant ideas, well, bugging off the Zaza. Like this one time when me and my brother were just enjoying a beautiful summer day outside on the terrace, faded AF, when by the gods I was struck with an idea so brilliant and great, I just couldn't stop until it came to fruition. And what was this idea? Well, it went something like this.
Oh my. Hey bro, I just got this great idea that I think we should do right now.
Okay, what is it?
I got 2 words for you. Virtual reality.
And what transpired after this is one of the most sad, stressful, and heartbreaking experiences of my high career. Although my brother was hesitant at first, after I explained why virtual reality will quite literally change our lives forever, he agreed to it. The only problem now was we were broke. Well, not completely, but these damn VR headsets cost anywhere from $400 to $1,000 new, and ain't no way we were about to drop a bag like that on some VR porn.
Games, I mean VR games. That's what I was saying.
So we did what any other broke 20-year-old with a materialistic dream would do. We went on Facebook Marketplace, where after a while of searching, we found a Oculus Rift S being sold for $150, which is a great deal. I mean, it cost $400 new, plus it was only 20 miles away, so we could be there in like 20 minutes. So obviously, we went ahead and bought it, without really asking any questions nor looking through the description of the post, which mentioned a cat nibbling on the cord, but hey, what does that have to do with anything?
It was broken, okay, that's what it had to do with it.
But not in a won't even turn on way of broken. It was like work for 20 minutes and then doesn't broken. Plus, it didn't even use a normal HDMI cable, so we had to buy a damn $50 adapter for it as well, that we haven't used ever since this incident with VR. After like 2 days of screwing around with the settings and trying to fix the nibbled on cable, we got it to work for the record-breaking time of 1 hour. Yes, 1 hour of virtual reality. But, you know, we spent like 10 hours getting it all set up and fixing the damn errors. Plus we dropped $200 on the supplies, so, yeah. And, I think it's time I confess my sins right here on the channel. After a week of having the VR headset, we sold it. For a profit. To an unexpected kid who probably was saving up money for months to get it. Sorry. But it's a dog-eat-dog world, and I put in the description the same damn thing. A cat nibbled on the wire. So yeah, I think the kid learned a valuable lesson worth more than the $200 he gave me for the broken headset. I mean, the VR headset. But it's not all bad, because I've had some pretty banger ideas while high as well. Like this one time when I was inhaling that broccoli and stumbled upon these high stickman channels that were popping up, and I thought to myself, wait, hold up, I'm high. I know how to use Microsoft Paint. I can do this. And look, it was one of those ideas that you have while high, but it was actually a good idea. Very unlike this one time when me and a couple homies were hotboxing in the car when I came up with the genius plan to go sledding in the middle of winter whilst completely blasted, whilst only having on a hoodie, and whilst only having our damn legs for transportation cause the car was just a stationary hotbox machine. So yeah, at the time, I don't know what I was thinking. I remember just focusing on the awesome part, you know, the whole sledding down the mountain thing, but didn't take into account how cold it was, how much we needed to walk to get up the mountain, how I only had a f***ing hoodie on, plus I forgot about my crippling paranoia about feeling cold. Like literally, my dumbass brain just sometimes flips on me like, hey, psst. Yeah. So you're having fun? Feeling good? You know, yeah, it's a beautiful day, you know, I'm having a good time. Yeah, it is. But you're freezing cold, aren't you? No, what? I'm not. Well, now you are. F*** you. Talk to you in your next high. Peace. So yeah, I don't know what I was thinking with that sledding plan. I was just really hyped about it for no apparent reason, but I think that's just like, it makes everything seem awesome. Another weird obsession I seem to have when I'm faded is real Japanese samurai swords. I don't know why, but there's just something about knowing that the sword you are holding was once used for actual combat by a true samurai. But hey, that just might be me.